Welcome to the Virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please, as soon as I scroll all the way down, I still can't get it right. Please welcome to the screen, in, I swear to God, just a second, I'm going to change how this works. Suzette Veneti!
Hey everybody at home, it's Suzette Veneti. It's 7:03 and it's June 14th. It's a Sunday, so whatever day your garbage day is, put your garbage out accordingly, and that includes your racist uncle. What? Okay, here we go. J.K. Rowling again made news as she went to the hardware store, bought a shovel, and just kept digging deeper. She clarified her thoughts on gender and trans women, and then just when no one wanted her to, she re-clarified further. This is really difficult for her fans who have loved her work for 23 years, and even as long as they've been alive in a lot of cases, and they're all shouting at her in unison, Evanesco, Evanesco. I don't know if that joke worked, because I don't read the books. I just listen to a podcast. Touching on a joke from last week, where Akon is building a city outside of, I believe, Senegal, and all the money in the city is going to be Akon, you had such a wonderful pun. So Akon's going to have the city. It's going to be technologically advanced. It's going to be outside Senegal, and you're only going to be able to pay for things with Acoin. Akon is clearly trying to form Wakonda. Okay. NASCAR truck series driver, sorry, I don't know what that is because I don't watch NASCAR. NASCAR truck series driver Ray Cicciarelli made news because of a post declaring that he was done after 2020, like the year in December. He's quitting in 6 months because NASCAR is immediately banning the Confederate flag, which is like, if you are so broken up about it, you should quit now. That's how that works. Don't quit in 6 months. The post was written by his wife, which is a classic example of the wife speaking up for the husband when he's not there, and then he's like, well, shit, now I have to do what you said. Again, it's weird that he's not quitting immediately. And it's also weird that, like, he's so pro-racist that he's going to quit his job. Also, the post garnered more attention than anything else he's ever done as a professional driver because he sucks at his job, which is probably why he's willing to quit. And also it proves the fact that some Italians suck. In the new Spider-Man game on PlayStation 5 that's coming out, you can play as Miles Morales. And I just wanted to let everyone know, as a Marvel fan and a Spider-Man fan, that was already in the works. This is not an overreaction by Marvel to include black characters that are playable. Miles Morales already existed. He was already a really great character, and they were already going to make him playable. It's kind of the opposite of what white makeup artists and influencers are doing on Instagram, where they're painting like half of their face black and half of it brown in solidarity. It's still blackface, though. So influencers, stop. I don't know why you're doing it. It doesn't look cool. You should really stop right now. And here's the thing. As someone who wears makeup a little bit, just a little bit, I know that now you have this tub of foundation and you're like, well, I need to use the rest of it because I spent money on it. No, honey. Here's the thing. Go back to the makeup store and get your money back because they'll take it back. All makeup stores do. So it's okay. Just take it back and get your money back. If you want to support black-owned makeup, if you want to support black lives and you want to do it with makeup, then get Fenty or Black Opal, or Pat McGrath. Those are just 3 black-owned makeup brands that you can purchase. Just Google black-owned makeup brands for more. And as far as what you can do with those slavery-themed photo shoots that I've seen, anything else, literally anything, please stop doing those right away, immediately. There's no joke. You're the joke. Stop. Speaking of jokes, look, I'm going to drink this water. And I did it with one hand. I didn't need a second hand. I'm not going to make fun of Trump, who needed 2 hands to drink the water recently in his speech, because that would be exactly what he did when he mocked people with disabilities, and he openly did it and made fun of them. So like by drinking the water with two hands, I would be mocking him. By referencing it that he clearly is falling apart, I'm simply just referencing that he's falling apart. Also, he had trouble walking down a ramp. I'm sorry. I'm in 6-inch heels, and I have no problems with ramps, stairs, even the streets in San Francisco. So we need a president who can do that. And if Joe Biden can't, then we need his vice president to do that, because ramps are things, and heels are just a necessary thing sometimes to look good. Joe Biden, get yourself a pair of pumps. Okay, back to the monologue. Sorry. Trump supporters everywhere last week were shook when they found out that Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy is half black, and the machine that Rage Against the Machine rages against is basically the oppressive government that they love so much. As a Democrat, I feel like that would be like finding out if a celebrity that I liked was glaringly conservative and they supported Trump. Like if there's got to be like one conservative celebrity that I like, right? There's not. The best Trumpers have is Kelsey Grammer, James Woods, and John Voight. Oh no, I'm not going to be able to order that box set DVD of 3 Old White Guys and Stacey Dash. Okay. In a country whose judicial system is the opposite of the United States, 2 Thai restaurant owners were sentenced to 1,446 years in jail. This is a math joke. Stay with me, guys. They confessed to their crime of defrauding customers with a promotion that was too hard for them to actually like follow through with. But because of their confession, they only received a sentence of 723 years each. Yes, these numbers are real. There's no exchange rate between Thailand and the U.S. when it comes to jail sentences. This is common in Thailand for sentences to be thousands of years, but it's also common that they don't serve more than 20 years because you can't serve 1,400 years as a person. That's not real. So I just wanted to point out, so 20 years for a $3 promotion that they sold to 347 people. Your move, Hennepin County. What you going to do with a murderer? At least 20 years. Okay. An article in Newsweek documents how police in Norway have not killed a citizen in 10 years. 10 years! Compared to the 600 citizens that U.S. police have killed since January 1st. When asked for comment, former Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields said, well, it's Norway. It's full of white people. Who are we going to kill? She didn't really say that, but the fact that you believe that, I'm just saying. That's why she resigned. In researching the last joke, I came across the story, this is true, of, I don't know how to say her first name, Carol Horn, a black woman who was a former Buffalo police officer. That's right, the same police department that pushed down a 75-year-old peace protester last week. So Miss Horn is a former police officer, and in 2008, she was fired for putting her fellow officers at risk when all she did was ask them to stop using an illegal chokehold on a suspect. And then she was fired because they didn't like that. Now, contrary to last week when 57 officers stood up for their 2 officers that pushed an old white man down, back in 2008, no officers stood up for Ms. Horn. She's currently let me find it in my notes. She's currently now an activist who speaks out against police violence. But back then, she spoke out against Officer Gregory Kwiatkowski, he made that last name up, who used the illegal chokehold. Mr. Kwiatkowski was actually booked, arrested, charged, and is serving a sentence for aggressive, excessive force against black teenagers. So it looks like Miss Horn was doing the right thing. So while we're righting the wrongs of the past, Miss Horn was 1 year away from her pension. She was a 19-year veteran. So Buffalo PD, get that woman her pension. She did the right thing and you fired her. Shame. In a joke that was too easy to write, Trump has taken issue with U.S. soccer's decision to allow players to kneel, stand, or take any stance they want during the national anthem. In response, Trump said he won't be watching U.S. soccer, which I think is a shame, because soccer generally has low scores in the single digits, like 3-2, 5-1. He can't keep up with basketball scores. He needs those single-digit scores to understand what's happening. And in the write-in joke of the week, coming from a man that has never before said anything funny on purpose, David Shapiro's father, Mr. Shapiro, writes, the Trump administration reversed the Obama-era protections for trans civil rights regarding health care. Number one, there's nothing funny about that. And the minute Joe Biden is sworn in, please, in January, he needs to reverse that right away. The definition of people's gender is whatever they want it to be. But this is interesting, and this is what Mr. Shapiro wrote. That last part was me. The definition of a human is a man, woman, or child of the species Homo sapien, distinguished from other animals by superior mental development, power of articulate speech, and an upright stance. Those are 3 things Trump can't do. And those are the 3 things that make a human a human. So who is he to tell anyone what their gender is? We're letting him pretend to be a human, cosplay being a human. And then, even though I told this joke last week, I like it so much I'm going to tell it again. Remember, kids, right now, everyone wants to support Black-owned businesses, including Black-owned restaurants, and that's great. But make sure your list is updated and kind of vetted, because some businesses are out of date, some don't belong on the list. But as always, the best tip I can give you if you want to support Black-owned businesses and restaurants, stay away from Rachel Dolezal's pretzel shop. Okay. And with that, I'm going to actually, it's a special episode. I have a co-host today. She's my interview guest, and I'm going to have her co-host because I think she's fantastic. So I'm going to bring up to the stage Apple Adams, and I'll talk more about her later, but that way you know who's coming up. So Apple Adams, Pearce and Queers.
What's good, everyone? Hey, Suzette.
Hey, Apple.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I just got my tramp stamp touched up. I used to have a Slytherin tattoo, and now it's the artist formerly known as Prince.
Oh.
Yeah, so fingers crossed, you know.
I like that change, though.
Thank you. I like it, too.
Jesse, are we good on screen? Okay, cool. We're going to go ahead and start the show, so enjoy the both of us being here. Oh, you forgot your water. Did you want it?
Oh, it's completely empty by now.
Oh, okay.
I have a huge oral fixation, so I'm constantly drinking.
Got it. If you need another one, it's my job to get you that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. This feels very much like NPR. Like I'm just leaning in and speaking very softly.
We can do the whole show that way.
Yes.
We'll see how the next contributor feels about it. We're going to go with What's the Tea and bring in Clifton Ellison. Clifton, are you there? Oh, you're muted. Hold on, baby. Okay, you're with us.
Hey.
Hi, Clifton.
Hey.
How are you?
So we're doing my segment right now.
We are. If you want to, we could just hang out a little bit.
Feeling it, please.
It caught me off guard a little bit. I was multitasking. So a whole lot has been going on this week. In Sacramento, we did have the Black Trans Lives Matter rally last week. And it was really, really good to see so many people out there marching and want to make sure that the voices that are usually not heard in the Black community are heard. If you do some research, you will see that a lot of our Black trans brothers and sisters are getting killed at an alarming rate. And a lot of them are not getting the national headline attention that their cis brothers and sisters are getting for getting killed by the police. We have had, just within this year alone, over a dozen trans people killed in the hands of police. And also there has been this very, very disgusting video going around. Forgive me, I was researching her name. It was in the Midwest. This woman accidentally hit somebody with her car, and then she goes to the gas station, and there's about 20 Black men beating her up. No one's stopping her. They're misgendering her, calling her out of her name. And this is something that, especially within the Black community, has to stop. We can't say Black Lives Matter without making sure that all bases are covered. And that was a big focus at this rally. And it was really good to see a lot of our local people there. Sierra, who performs at Faces and Badlands, she was there. And I didn't know she know how to drop some bars. She was rapping and everything. I was like, okay, girl, I see you. A couple of my friends, Monique and Aaron, they also gave some very heartwarming speeches from the heart. And I feel like a lot of people left there with a lot more knowledge about what's going on right in our own backyard. And they also brought up some facts that were really kind of made a lot of people go, And it's just the microaggressions, which is something that is very deep within the system. And it's something that goes in the workplace, at home, around friends, in social areas, and you don't really realize it until you actually think about it. And for example, like a microaggression would be you're listening to the radio and the radio DJ would say, all the hits without the rap. Why does it have to be without the rap? What's wrong with rap music? Like, it's just all of these things that, especially with this movement, I feel like a lot of people are realizing how ingrained racism is in our society. And there's got to be a lot of work to do, but just like with the Me Too movement, there's going to be some shit that you're going to see that's going to really disappoint you, shock you. There's going to be some of your faves that are going to get exposed. Like, if you're a fan of Glee, Little Miss Rachel Berry, Leah Michelle, she got exposed last week for performative activism, which is basically when you jump on a bandwagon to be an activist of something, but a lot of people know, like, didn't you just do this? And apparently she threatened one of her Black co-stars on Glee, told her that she was going to shit in her wig. Those are the direct words, shit in her wig, make her life a living hell. And then all of a sudden, all this came from Leah Michelle posting about George Floyd. And then all the co-stars on Glee just came out of nowhere talking about all these things. And then she just kind of went silent. And performative activism is something that's being brought up a lot these days, especially like with Starbucks. They told their partners that they cannot wear Black Lives Matter merchandise or any pins. And then literally, not even 6 hours later, they jump back on, oh yeah, we have Black Lives Matter shirts and pins coming for our partners. If that was in the works the whole time, why didn't y'all just say that? Did you jump on that because you didn't want to lose my money?
Right. It would be better if they just said, like, you know what? We fucked up so bad just now. We're going to reverse our decision because oops.
Yeah. And it's just like, the thing is, I know I've said some fucked up things back in the day. I know I said some stupid shit in my early 20s. However, if it's brought up to me now, I will own it. I would just be like, hey, I said it. That's not who I am right now. I own it. I apologize. That's a genuine apology. Now, when you are apologizing because you got caught, that's a different type of apology. And be very mindful and aware, because we're going to see a lot of this happen. There's going to be a lot of different companies that are going to get called out, a lot of different high, powerful people, celebrities that are going to get called out, and just watch how they react to it. Are you just apologizing to dim the flame? Are you just apologizing to get us off your back? Are you posting Black Lives Matter when in fact we see that you have donated tons of money to things that aren't in the best interest of what you're rallying for? Like, there are so many things of contradictions with the performative activism. But I will say the one thing that people can do, especially from their self, is if something does get brought up that you have done, just own it. Just own it. Be willing to learn, be willing to listen. And I think that if you go in with that attitude, then you will be on the right side of history. Now, if you are vocally saying some really, really ignorant shit online, like run them over or things like that, like some of our locals in this area, I won't say no names, but then it's just like you can't get upset when the things that you posted make you lose certain things like your job or anything like that. Because I know for a fact that if I posted on Twitter, and this is just an example, women are trash, they should XYZ, I could lose my employment. I could lose that. So then it's just like, why is it that you act surprised that people are upset for you saying these things? So it's just, a lot of people really need to be mindful of what they say, what they do, listen, and just try to be a better person. Mm-hmm. It sounds easy. It's much easier said than done. We still got a lot of work to do, but those are just a few baby steps that we can do right now.
Oh, it's going to be really, like we've talked about, you and I, on this show, it's going to be uncomfortable. A lot of people are going to have a lot of things happen where it's not going to feel good, either because someone you like said something that they shouldn't have said, or maybe you've done something that you shouldn't have done in the past. But we can grow together through this. But it's like working out, you know? It's not fun to work out. It sucks. But the only way you can get to the point where you can appreciate the work you've put in is by being uncomfortable, whether it's waking up early or, you know, owning up to what you did that was wrong. I wanted to mention the name of the woman in Minneapolis. I don't want to say her name wrong, but Iana Dior was the trans woman in Minneapolis.
Yeah, because that's what I was, when you clicked me on, I was trying to Google it and hurry up and get it together. Yes, that video was just, but I couldn't even stomach watching that video. But to see, I would say there's always a positive with every negative. And with the positive in this situation was I started to see a lot of people that you wouldn't necessarily would think would be on the forefront of speaking out for trans people, speaking out, like the rapper Common, Jason Momoa, many different high, powerful people speaking out about that. And hell, I was shocked. Taylor Swift was reading the full history of Confederate statues to her fans. And when higher level people speak out like that, that's not performative. That's actually, hey, I've taken the time to actually do my research, actually try to use my platform for good. But that Starbucks shit, I just might be a Pete's girl for right now. So, you know.
Yeah, no, I was going to write a joke in the monologue about how, like, Starbucks won't let you get coffee black. You have to get it with cream. But it's so stupid what happened. I do want to ask you a question about the last week. If I don't want to cut you off, though.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay, so maybe Apple noticed, and maybe you noticed, and our viewers noticed, all the Democratic senators wearing the kente cloth. Now, I read that they were asked to do this by the Black Caucus. And so as a sign of respect, they said, okay, and they were handed the, it's not like they went out and bought them. The Black Caucus brought them in and gave it to them, and then they kneeled for the 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Now, because the Black Caucus asked them to do this, are they okay to do that?
Well, see, here's the thing, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I didn't know that they asked them. I just saw the picture. And, you know, there's going to be many people that have just seen the picture without knowing that part. So when you see a whole bunch of white folks wearing some kente cloths looking like they're about to do Wakanda forever, you're kind of like, what are you doing?
Right.
But, yeah, I didn't know that the caucus asked them to do that.
Right.
Now, that kind of changes my whole thought of that, but I feel like the caucus should have spoke out and said something so then the senators did not look like they were just doing performative allyship.
Yes, I feel like maybe that was the caucus's way of being like, oh, we got you for the last 400 years. But they could have had their back. But I think that was an important part of the story that got left out, and context is so important when it comes to activism, because sometimes it's hard to tell if something is performative or if it's, I forget what the opposite word is. There's a real term for it, but the genuine, authentic, okay, authentic, activism. And you're right. It's great that people like Common and Jason Momoa and Taylor Swift are all actually showing up, and the people that aren't showing up, like for real, like Lea Michele, are gonna get read, and fired and dropped.
It was actually a wonderful day on Twitter to see that reading happen because I did not like her character. And you know how with some people you just have like a gut feeling. And I was just like, something about that girl. Because I know, I watched the show. Yes, I was that one that watched the show. But it was just something about her character. But then when I heard all the backstage stories about her, I was like, something's going to come up. And then there it is. What's done in the dark will always come out in the light. Always. So.
Oh yeah, and I never watched Glee, but I only like, which character do I like?
Not Rachel?
No, the one that's like the guidance counselor.
Oh, Emma. I want to say Emma Stone, but that's an actual person.
Is she the guidance counselor?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like the guidance counselor, Clifton, because she's like me.
Yeah, she was only on there for maybe 2 seasons, but honestly, when you look back at it on retrospect, it was really primetime kids bop.
It really was, though. It's so funny to watch it back now and be like, how did I invest so much of my life into this show?
So much. Like we had live viewings of it at the depot.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to representation on TV, and that's why it's so important that Disney is making sure, like in the last Frozen, they're making sure that they're getting it right when they depict, native people of the land. And we're trying to make sure there are more black and brown princesses, and the new Aladdin movie used, actors of the correct descent. Representation matters in art, and I think that's why maybe Glee was so popular. Whereas right now you have other choices, to watch, and you don't have to feel like that's the only place you can see yourself on TV.
And that was only 7 years ago. And just think of how much media has changed just in 6 or 7 years. Now it's starting to become more common to see a gay character, a lesbian character, a disabled character.
Like the vice president and president.
What was that?
I said like the vice president and the president.
Oh, girl.
But
we gotta get that tangerine up out of there, girl.
You said disabled and gay.
Wow. But I agree with you, and I think a lot of it is these shows are. I think they're very open, and they do spark new conversations for the time period they're in. So I think people who are watching Glee 7 years ago or whatever, they appreciated the fact that there was diversity. However, if you look at that diversity in comparison to the diversity we're trying to get now in film and television, it is kind of laughable. So I think it's just you cling on to what you want to see in hopes that it's going to be exactly what you need. And you see now, there's so many shows that we watch now where it's there is a lot more diversity. We're seeing people of color. We're seeing a lot more women. We're seeing a lot more people who are non-binary or trans or what have you. And it's you compare that to what you used to watch, and it's well, Glee really did not hold up well.
Right, like Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina would blow anything from 7 years out of the water, and She-Ra is so it's not even part of the show. It's just so inclusive. So
and Steven Universe.
Yes.
Well, I haven't seen that one.
I'm a 34-year-old man, and I learned some things from watching Steven Universe. Just watch that show. You'll learn some things. It is such a good show.
It really is. It's fabulous.
Thank you, Clifton. I feel like we went some places just now that were really good that we didn't mean to.
Well, thank you.
I
tried.
wish dating was like that. Anything else, baby?
No, that's all. Everybody just keep sanitizing and washing your hands. Outside is opening up, but just do what you want to do. And if you want to stay inside, stay inside. If you go out, just be careful. That's all.
Absolutely.
I miss living next to you, but I love seeing you every week.
Oh, well, I can always walk over there.
We should meet up.
Shout outside your window and hold the speaker up there and play some music.
This romantic right here.
Rain on
In fact,
me.
you know what? I'll do that.
Okay, I'm in. Please do. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye, Suzette.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, peers and queers, that was Clifton Ellison. His information was on the screen. If you want to send him some coin, please do. Also, the information for Stab, I think it's still above me. You can support the theater because all of us performers and theaters are still out of work. They're just now opening things up, but we've been bringing you content, and my contributors work so hard to bring you stuff every week. So whatever you can spare, if you can, and if you can't, just give a like on the social medias. Sometimes that's worth just as much. And with that, we're going to go with the next segment coming up, Peers and Queers. As always, you should follow this guy online, and you should catch him live when he does live shows. You can find his podcast in the meantime on YouTube, I believe. And in the meantime, let's bring on Mean Dave. Oh, Apple, have you met Mean Dave?
I've met several Daves. Is he one of the? Is he particularly mean?
It's actual short for meaningful David.
Oh my God! Plot twist.
It's the line. We haven't met, I don't think, Apple.
Oh, two of my favorite people, Mean Dave. This is Apple, Mean Dave.
Hi, Mean Dave.
Nice to meet you, Apple.
I'm so glad you're meaningful.
A lot of people, assume that because of the name that I'm mean, but just too often people give you any nonsense for not actually being an apple.
Wait, what was that? Sorry.
Do people ever? So people often think that he's mean, which he only is to stupid people in comments. Do people ever confuse you with maybe being an actual?
You don't
apple?
look like an apple.
Well, you haven't seen me naked, but yeah, I get that a lot. No, but fair enough, absolutely. I do occasionally get confused as an apple from several drunks, and that's usually just when I take their money and run. Just like, oh, funny joke, thank you, I'll take the money, goodbye.
Go on. Oh, yeah. Right on. It's been another week. I've been doing what I'm supposed to do, which is not shit. Just staying out of people's way. Oddly enough, for whatever reason, in the last 3 months, I've gotten more messages from people I haven't talked to in probably like over a year.
Same.
They act concerned. They're like, "Hey, how are you doing? You're doing okay?" Which is nice. It's a nice check-in. But I end up finding out after paragraphs later that really they're the ones that aren't fine. And so I've become sort of a de facto therapist for many people, and so I want to get paid for it now, because it's been a lot of time. It happened yesterday. There's a friend of mine who's I dare call him a comedian. He's one of these guys that does comedy. He's an older dude. He used to run shows around here and stuff, and he moved to Florida, so he's already got that going against him. And then he's one of these dudes that he used to tell me when we first met and stuff, and he would see how I like to stir shit up on social media. He would say, "Hey man, you're always causing trouble. You're always, I'm like, I just like to, I just would have fun kind of stirring the pot if it seemed appropriate. I don't like, picking on people or anything like that. But if somebody's acting like an arrogant asshole, I have no problem being a wise ass or something." But he has spent the entire quarantine mostly, he's basically been a guy, he might as well just say that he thinks coronavirus is a hoax, because he kind of tiptoes around it or just around the numbers of it. And it's strange that like the new flat earther now is the coronavirus hoaxer. And I that's kind of why my solution to the whole thing is, open everything up, get everybody out there, let's everybody get it, so that way people can see it in action, and then you'll want to close shit up and wear your masks and shut the fuck up. But he posted a video yesterday of and I don't even think it's from a recent event. It's one, people share so much outdated information. They just see the fucking headline, and I'm pretty sure they've shared articles from Civil War in the last few months, because they share this thing. I keep seeing, what was it, Facebook, supporting Trump from 2016, and just all of these different articles or just something, and some of them feel relevant, but I don't know, it's the ones that more or less are like, people, when you can just see people responding to it right away, like, let's get them off with their head. I'm like, this is from 2011. So he posted a video showing, it was one of those stupid videos of just somebody trying to show the Patriots pwning Antifa, again, as if Antifa is this, the new Al-Qaeda, which they are not. There really is no Antifa. but they need a boogeyman. So, and I saw the video, and it was really just this pathetic video. Nobody really won this little fight or whatever. But I just made the mistake of commenting that the irony is that if Joe was there, he would run from either large group of people. And Joe didn't like that very much, because so I spent the next hour to an hour and a half listening to Joe's tough guy resume of all the martial arts he does. The thing about it was he was mainly concerned that his kids were going to laugh at the comment, which I'm sure they did. And if they're not laughing at the comment, they're definitely laughing at something else about him. He's a cool dude. He's not a bad guy, but and really the point of what he was trying to make, which is always this bullshit that they're always the backtracking of, like he goes, I'm actually for some of the principles of what some of the Antifa guys do, but when it comes to destroying property and blah 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 blah, and I just have to remind him, like, you're in Florida. Is anybody destroying anything near you? No. So shut the fuck up.
I mean, beside their lives, because Floridians do that. Sorry.
What's that?
I said Floridians destroy their lives a lot. Like,
yeah, very true. I mean, they've made that choice.
Their social relationships.
I mean, it's more or less. He's just one of these guys where he's just dumb. I mean, nice guy, love the guy. He's a guy who helped me out during a rough time. So and I'm one of these people where I don't really, I still have like this. There's a guy, you actually might even know who he is, or you might have learned about him. He makes himself very known. His name's Jake Gibson. Mm-hmm. And I keep him as a Facebook friend. He used to be known as Flat Earth Asshole. Now he just goes by Jake the Asshole. And he's one of these dudes he's a braggart, out loud, outspoken Corona hoaxer. He thinks the whole George Floyd thing was a setup and a hoax. He thinks everything's a hoax.
Oh yeah, like Sandy Hook was staged.
He's from Modesto, and I just keep him in my friends list to watch how that side of the world kind of thinks, and I don't comment. I don't say anything. I just like to watch, and it was. But when it comes to my buddy Joe, he's just one of these guys where it's like he's turned into the very thing that he used to tell me not to do. And then I had to sit there and nurture his bullshit for the next 2 hours when I was telling him, it's like, no, I didn't call you. I didn't say you would run because you're a coward. I said you would run because you're lazy and non-confrontational. That's different. If you're in a fist fight, I'm sure you can handle yourself. But if I know you and you saw a large group of people like that, you're going to take off in the other direction and make it sound like you're not running. That's how I know him to be. And so I had to sit there and pussyfoot around, his bullshit. And plus it was late. He had some drinks in him, of course, because that's what all these people do when they're always acting up on social media.
Like the president.
So that's just what I've been doing. Coddling motherfuckers. That, because I have unfriended 3 people that I've seen just posts that are inappropriate, but I never knew them to begin with. These are people that would send me friend requests. I look and they live in like, Ohio. I see they've got, close to 5,000 friends, and 200 of them are comedian friends of mine who have no fucking sense because they don't know this motherfucker either. And so I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's let them think they're networking, and I'll add them. And then next thing you know, I see something of just, an all lives matter bullshit or just whatever, all of that stupid shit. And I have no problem cleaning house of that. But then when I start seeing it, traces of it in some of the people that I am closer to and whatnot, then I have a little more fun with them. That's why I'd say don't just unfriend right away. All those posts of, if you don't agree with these 5 steps to my friendship, unfriend me now. I'm like, no, do the work, find the people you need to unfriend, and really fuck with the people that are your friends and challenge their points of view. And, cause it's, that's what friendship's about, really, is fucking with them.
Yeah.
So
I think one of these for you, Mean Dave, because you don't live in an echo chamber, and it's really important, with social media nowadays, not to be in an echo chamber which a lot of people do when they write those posts, and I know Apple sees a lot of those too. Like, hey, if you're friends with this person, or if you don't believe this, or if you use a straw in a plastic glass and don't want to save all the turtles, unfriend me now. And it's like, why don't you do the work and unfriend me? Because I don't.
I'll tell you what, I want to unfriend more people just from their hacky comments on my posts, but I can't do that all the time because, my favorite thing is when I'll be very sensitive, very careful about pointing out that, somebody's really, I had this happen. Actually, usually most people have a good sense of humor about it, but, because I am a sensitive person. But in being sensitive, I also understand that, sometimes I'm wrong. And so but I'll be damned if I'm gonna entertain a lazy fucking comment, and then and especially if it gets a lot of likes. If I see that it gets a lot of likes, then I gotta also take the numbers of all those motherfuckers who click like on that shit, and then you start making a list of all these people, and I'm like, I don't get every single one of these motherfuckers back, and then you start thinking like a school shooter, and that's not a good way to think. So anyway, so.
Like a evil Santa Claus just making a list.
Yeah, no, it's not. You can't be going like that, and that's why it's one of those things where you gotta it helps me to laugh at myself and whatever. But that's why when there's people that I'm more offended at a thoughtless joke or an easy low hanging fruit joke than I am by anybody who will disagree with me. I'm not even that bothered with people. I know people disagree with me. That's why I don't put a lot of my thoughts out there all the time. I keep my thoughts up here, and for the most part, if I do have to post them online, it's usually I know it's going to be something that's like, okay, everybody's going to find this bullshit heartwarming, or it'll be like, we'll see what happens. I had one post not too long ago. One of my friends sent me a message using my favorite word, triggered. And it was I just said that it's social media sometimes makes me envy the dead, and oddly enough, it got more likes than I ever anticipated. I thought that was a 20 to 30 like post tops, and it got 70 to 80, even some ha-has. I'm like, holy shit, what? You guys actually understand that I was joking? I didn't. That doesn't happen on social media. Most people just assume that I'm being really grim and negative, and maybe just people are at home too much and they're starting to get me. But
audience...
one person who is a young gal, very she's very motivated. She's really active in the current in a lot of the protests currently and all that. She took that to mean pretty much like I envy George Floyd, and I was trying to tell her that the dead encompass all dead matter is what I mean, and that's a horrible thing to say. But my point was, I was not specifically addressing the George Floyd thing, and so I ended up having this long conversation with her of just the fact that I'm 43 and she's in her 20s, and I forget what even I was talking about. Really, what I do is I rope-a-dope them. I battle them back with paragraphs, and then it's like, let's just see if they can hang with all these paragraphs, and then they usually tap out, and then I win. So.
Me and Dave, this is one of the reasons I always tell people to follow you, because I derive great enjoyment from following you. And
thanks.
And
I see you. I see you out there.
Yeah, liking your posts. So I don't post a lot of inflammatory things. So maybe I should try, because it seems like a lot of fun.
You post a lot of, what's good is you post a lot of vulnerability, which is usually good reading for late at night, because that's when you post it. and that's when I'm usually, so every now and then got to check in on you. So you're one of the people I check in on. So it's,
Thank you.
Thank you. Being all important.
I cannot wait to have you both in a live show and introduce you, since I love both of you as two of my favorite people.
That
thank
would be
you.
lovely.
Meaningful,
Dave. That was very meaningful. I love.
Oh, thank you, Apple. Good meeting you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right, Peers and Queers, that was Mean Dave. His information was on the screen. As you can see, the screen's set up a little bit differently today, and we're in the back room of the studio that we're usually in, because it's usually a big You've seen it.
I have.
Okay. And with that, we're going to bring on the next contributor. The segment doesn't have a name, but she does, and you should Google her and find her and follow her and go see her in person. Peers and Queers, one of my favorite people, Chelsea Bearce.
Yes, Chelsea Bearce.
Yay!
Hi, Chelsea.
I'm not there yet. Where am I? Am I there? Yes. So I'm watching on my phone the Twitch live. I'm watching it.
Groovy.
It's so deep right now. It's so deep.
Meta.
Hi, bitches. How
Hi.
are you?
Good. I can't see you right now. You're literally a little black square on top of a microphone stand, but you've never looked better.
A little black square. I know. I've been called that more than once. Thanks, Apple. Thanks. Thank you. All right. Hello, everybody. My God, what a heavy show we've had today, huh? Let's lighten it up a little bit. Let's lighten it up. Okay.
What are we talking about?
So, I have a show that I do, okay, and I produce this show on Instagram, and I do it every time my son goes to sleep. I have a 4-year-old son, and whenever he takes a nap, I go online, and we have these very, very deep conversations, and they're debates, and I get people involved, and I would like to bring one that has sparked so much conversation this last week, and I want to bring it to you guys, and I want to know your input, okay? That's where we're going with this, all right?
Let's do this shit.
Yes?
Yes.
Great. Here we go. Okay, so the question is a would you rather question, and I want you guys to seriously think this, and I want you to tell me what your honest answers are, okay?
Okay.
The question is, would you rather, for the rest of your life, have mind-blowing sex but unsatisfying food, or mind-blowing food and unsatisfying sex? Which one would you rather have for the rest of your life?
Okay, I'm gonna need a minute, but you seem like certain, so you go ahead with that.
A bitch is thirsty, so I was done on sex. I was like, I don't
You're
care
like, good,
what
that's
else
what I
is
need,
happening.
thank you.
But then you made it a really good question, and I don't know how to answer that because
I know. It's
like
tough.
yeah, if you could trade off like every year and be like, oh, this is the year all the food's gonna taste like Soylent Green, whatever, sex is gonna be dope.
Right. But you have to choose one for the rest of your life, okay? Now, I'll let you guys think about it, and I'll tell you some of the conclusions that I found during this week, because people really took this question seriously, and I think it not only because it gives them something lighter to think about, like let's think about something else besides what the climate is right now of the world. This is just kind of fun and like a what if, like let's have fun kind of question.
Well, and it's also one of the biggest questions you can ask. Like, fuck the secret. That's what you need to know about yourself. Is food more important or is sex, really?
It's true. And it does open up, like this is very eye-opening. I see my friends differently now. When I know their answer, I'm like, yo, bitch, I thought I knew you. Like, I thought I knew who you were. And now I'm disappointed with you as a human. And, okay. So what I have found is that anyone who has, like, a self-image or, weight issue, I've been overweight my entire life, okay? I have been overweight my entire life. It was very easy for me to say I would have mind-blowing sex and unsatisfying food, because then I wouldn't be prone to eat food at 11:30 at night when I should be fucking sleeping. You know what I mean? Like, right. So it was very easy for me to say that answer. But then I was also noticing that older people who were listening to this question, older people were saying that they would rather have mind-blowing food. And I'm like, yo, this is fascinating, because older people, this is a generality. I understand that there are some older people that are not going to fit under this umbrella, but a lot of older people don't have as much sex as people that are younger in their 20s and 30s, right? So in their 20s and 30s, sex is way more important than food is. But when you get older, sex is kind of on the back burner, and then it's like, yo, I want mind-blowing food. I want that food to be motherfucking like crazy orgasmic food. If the sex is okay, it's okay. I could give or take this fucking sex. You know what I mean?
Right, Chelsea. This is a clinical study. Like, you should really make this a scientific thing. Holy crap!
I think it's so fascinating. fascinating. So, Apple, you've had some time to think about it.
Yes. Okay. God, this is so hard. Like, let me just walk you through what I'm going through here, because I agree with you 100%. I grew up a chubby boy myself. So, like, for me, keeping weight off is a huge thing, and I work on it all the time. Not because I care about being skinny, but because I have, like, 200 outfits and I don't want to sew. So, like, part of me is like, yeah, that's great. Give me the mind-blowing sex and just make food terrible, and then I don't have to worry about that anymore. You are on a roll with that one. But here's where I'm at. I also feel like as I'm getting older, sex isn't a huge priority to me like it used to be. Like, I literally would give it out to anybody up to, like, maybe 4 years ago. And that's me being generous. But I'm definitely at a point in my life now where it's like, I like food again. And, like, I've discovered Spanx. So I'm like, maybe I want okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna go with good sex and just good food and just subpar sex.
I am very shocked by that answer. And I thought we were friends before this broadcast started.
We can still have sex. Don't worry about that. I'm just telling you where my preferences are.
It's so fast. I think this is it's so fascinating. So I brought this question up to my roommate, okay, and I brought this question up to her, and she's also in her 20s. She's 26 years old, and so I was like, there's no question she's gonna say that she'd rather have sex and mind-blowing sex and mediocre food, right? Subpar food, and that's 100% what she said. Mm-hmm. But there was something kind of cryptic about the way she said it, and so I was like, hang on a second. Like, first of all, have you ever had mind-blowing sex? Because that will alter your answer 100%.
Sure.
If you've never had mind-blowing sex, you have no idea what you're talking about right now. Step out of my conversation. Mm-hmm. But I also asked her, what do you consider being mind-blowing food? And her answer, without hesitation, she was like, like pizza rolls. I died. I was dead. I was fucking dead.
Was she high when you asked her? Because that's important.
No.
I think there are other variables in play. So, like, if you haven't had sex, I don't know, for 2 years and you're, blonde, maybe.
She's talking about herself, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe then, like,
You'll take
mediocre sex would be better than no sex, right?
It depends on how much you've spent on sex toys. Like, a fleshlight can get you through some hard times.
Okay.
It's very true. And I mean, if you've had mediocre sex, if you have mediocre sex, you can always, like, make it better when that person leaves, and then you can grab your fucking, plastic one, and then you can have mind-blowing sex by yourself.
Oh.
So true.
I mean,
that reminds me.
I don't know if that's a subcategory. We didn't explore this. We're exploring it right now. Is that a branch?
The conversation continues. Yes.
I just want to say to anyone watching, including my ex's attorney, this segment is brought to you by my previous marriage, mediocre sex. Okay, go ahead, Chelsea.
Shade.
Wasn't me.
Burn, bitch. The library is open. No, so anyway, I found it very interesting. You have to everybody has their different levels. Some people have what they call mind-blowing sex. Some people have what they call mind-blowing food, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. Mm-hmm. So that's why this question is so deep. When I asked it, I thought it was kind of like a given. Of course you want mind-blowing sex. Why are we even having this conversation? And then it opened up, and I was like, yo, this goes deep.
Well, and I think a large part of it, like, and I don't know if you didn't know this about me, but I am not a scientist. But I think it's definitely more. I know. I just own the costume. But I think it's more quantitative than anything else. I think what you need to look at is how much good sex have you had in life compared to how much good food have you had in life. Like, okay. I spent a majority of my life having really good sex, but eating, like, rice crackers because I was always trying to lose weight. So it's like, given that, I'll absolutely take better food over better sex,
Yeah. I've eaten in New Orleans. Like, I've had, like, gumbo and po' boys, like, right from, like, where it should be from.
Yeah.
So, like, that and Chicago pizza and Jewish delis in New York, those would be my three, like, this is mind-blowing food.
Yeah. Okay. Word.
Right.
I can appreciate
and
that.
And maybe Queen of Sheba next door.
Yes. And there are some people who do equate really good food, like when you eat it, you know, because I've been to those delis in New York. I lived there, you know, so it's like I know what really good food is, and people do equate it immediately to sex. That's their first comparison is, oh my God, this is orgasmic, or this is better than sex. You know what I mean? They compare it to sex immediately.
Okay, is the food free?
Bitch, you cheap fucking bitch. I can't even handle it.
Follow-up question, though. Is the sex free?
Oh. I mean, is any sex free? Like, honestly.
No.
You have to pay for it in some way or another. You know what I mean?
It's like
dropping
magic.
some
There's
truth bombs
There's
right
always
now.
a cost.
Yeah.
There's always a
There's
cost.
always a cost, whether it be your time or your energy or your fucking. They'll drink your fucking alcohol. I mean, it's like you pay for it in some way or another.
Word.
So, I'm just saying.
Wow. God, that is such a crazy good question. That is a game changer. It really makes you look at people and be like, why are you less freaky than what I thought you would be, you know?
Right. Or, yeah, exactly. Or, yeah, I don't know. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, people, I immediately had this feeling, like, for people who said, oh, I'd rather have good food. And I was like, what a pretentious answer. Why do you have to eat fucking good food? Like, you know, and I was like, why am I being so judgy? Jesus Christ. These people
So
wanna eat.
you're judging everyone no matter what they answer. Who are you, Chelsea?
I mean, of course, we all judge the fuck out of everybody. Don't fucking lie. We all do it.
part of the
But
job.
I'm just saying. Wait, Suzette, you didn't answer the question.
Well, okay, hold on. First of all, Jesse, did anybody comment? Any viewers?
Yeah, actually, Jessica Roberts on Facebook said, sex being on the back burner is why we have angry damn old people.
Wow.
So,
Also, some straight couples don't have sex on the back burner, so they should try that
Right.
sometimes.
Although to chip in with old people specifically, your taste buds start to go at a certain age. You're not getting good sex or good food. That's why they're angry.
Yeah, I think that's the answer to the
Oh
question.
my
Don't be
God.
old.
Uh-huh.
Don't get old. Okay, so here's my answer.
There's so many levels to this shit. This is fucking.
Look
this is
at what you have started. This is a nationwide conversation.
I know.
Oh,
Fuck the election. No, not really. But I mean,
Fuck the election, please vote.
yeah, please vote, but also vote on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so my answer. Oh man, this is tough. Okay, I would say I would have to tender an answer right now. With I would like to be able to change it, you know, at some point if my life changes. But I've had really good food, and I've had no sex.
Okay.
So I would take any sex over no sex. Now, if I started having good sex and I had to live in a place like Omaha, there's not going to be good food there anyway.
There's not gonna be good
here's
sex there
where-
either.
Hang on. Here's where there's a hole in your answer right now.
Okay.
Is you're saying right now, because the question is for the rest of your life, would you rather do this? And you're saying right now, I would rather have really good food and mediocre sex. Guess what, bitch? You're never going to start having good sex because you've made the decision. That's it. That's your decision to never have mind-blowing sex in your life.
You know what my
Congratulations.
Okay, you know what my real answer is? My real answer is I will take whatever I get. At this point, that's my answer, because I would love some really good food. I would love some really good sex. If the food's free and the sex is whatever it costs, whatever I get first, I'll go with.
Honestly, I think you'd be safe with just going with really good food, because like in terms of like really good sex, like why start now? Yeah.
I mean,
It's a thing. Because then it's like, does the really good sex, like, does that come with commitment? And do I have to have, like, the really good sex, you know, with the same person,
that's-
like, over and over and over again? You know what I mean?
you have to
So-
define the variable set.
Professor Bearce, I'm gonna need you to write a book on this shit, because there's so many layers. It's not just the two, like the yes or no question or the food or sex question. There's layers. to
Yeah,
this
like
shit.
you can give a lecture, like a TED talk, and you ask the crowd this question, and they all say like good sex, and you're like, okay, but then like, you know, and you start defining, and then they all switch, and then you go the other direction, and then they all switch.
Yeah.
And let me just say, if we've learned anything from this segment, pizza rolls are not mind-blowing food, Heidi.
I know, and I want to call my roommate out so bad, but when she said that, my whole world got turned upside down, and I was like, bitch, I don't talk about you in my comedy set, but congratulations, like, you're my closer now. Like, I mean, I'm done. Pizza rolls are mind-blowing? Bitch, someone
Although, let me tie in something we talked about a couple weeks ago. I am a hot pocket. So that could be both mind-blowing sex and good food. Call back.
Vagina, ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen.
this segment's
Hot
done.
Pocket.
I'm done with you. I'm absolutely done. I cannot.
It wouldn't be us if I didn't make you go, ugh.
You
Yeah.
have to make me question my life and what my life decisions and why I say yes to this show every single week. And once I do that, then it's like, okay, thanks for your time. Chelsea's gone, guys. Thank you. Like, that's how this segment ends.
I love you.
And you know what? This has been so thought-provoking. I literally have stayed quiet this entire show, just like, yeah, uh-huh. And then you bring up food and sex. I'm like, I'm the expert. Let's do this. So good.
I love it.
Before you go, I'm going to fill Apple in on that callback. So a couple weeks ago, she brought one of her questions, and what was the question? It was it about?
Oh, is a Pop-Tart actually a ravioli?
Yes.
I need to fucking leave. That was too mind-blowing. Wow.
Yeah.
It's easy, because is a Pop-Tart, and then it's like, well, what constitutes a ravioli? And then a lot of people said no, because one is a pastry and one is savory, and so it's like, you know,
Yeah.
because there's another one that is cereal actually soup? That's a question too.
Well, but you gotta think too, there's like so many pastries that are both savory and sweet, so you can't say
Right.
like...
You can make a dessert ravioli, but a Pop-Tart is not because you can't fry it.
Oh, fuck.
And you can't bake it. Like,
I hate you both so much right now.
but we did establish
Yes.
that a ravioli is it's a pouch with delicious filling, and that's when I said I am a pouch with delicious filling. And then Miles, Chelsea's comedy partner and best friend, said that I'm a hot pocket.
I like that.
Mhm.
I too am a pouch, and I'm just hoping to get filled.
Because, like, you know, hot
So we know
pockets
your
aren't
answer.
They're not particularly classy, and sometimes they like spill out of one end, you know. So they fit ill into that sleeve. So yeah, hot pocket is totally, that's kind of where you're at.
I like that.
You're welcome.
I like that so much. Thank you so much for that gift. Wow. Truly a blessing.
I love you guys.
Love you too,
Enjoy
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Thanks.
Freaking love Chelsea.
Viewers, make sure you, if you can, drop some coin in Chelsea's Venmo, because she brings it every week with these thought-provoking questions.
Wow, now I just want to eat while having sex.
Again, I'll just take anything that I can get.
Ladies and
involving that.
gentlemen, screw her Venmo. Just screw her, okay? Like, she's waiting. She's open
Thirsty.
to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back burner? I don't know. And with that, we're going to go with the interview portion. And this is the first show I've had my interview guest on stage with me the whole time. So let me give a proper introduction. Northern California drag superstar. You can catch her wherever you can when COVID World's not happening, including Fridays Are a Drag at our drag brunch Makeup and Mimosas. And then you host a show after hours with Apple Adams, Peers and Queers Apple Adams.
Hi, hello. Good to see you all. I haven't been here for the last half hour.
This is weird because we're going to talk to each other and then constantly look at the audience.
This is where my theater training comes in. So I move in, but I cheat out.
I
Okay.
feel like we're remaking the Sweaty Balls sketch from Saturday Night Live just a little bit.
Which is perfect because I'm pretty sure we both have those right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So how long have you been doing drag?
I'm as of Mother's Day, I am going on 7 years now.
Wow. Did you start on Mother's Day?
I sure did. It was, okay, so it was I started, my big start was at a Bojangles pageant, which was at Bojangles, which is now part of Mango's, trying to give you a sense of where it's all at.
Sure.
And the orientation day was Mother's Day, and I had literally just told my mom like maybe 2 weeks before this that I really wanted to do this, and so I was like, hey, is there any way like I can just go ahead, me and my buddy, and just go to this thing and then I'll come right back? And she's like, no, I'm gonna go with you. So my mom and me and my dear friend Luna Nova in her Corolla driving up to Sacramento to go to this drag queen orientation, and I'm just like, hey guys, sorry, it's Mother's Day, I hope it's cool that I brought my mom. But yeah, so I always forget the date because Mother's Day shifts.
Right.
But whatever that date was 7 years ago is when I started.
So, okay, so my question, that's a good story, by the way. I'm so glad you told it. And I love your mom. If she's watching, hi.
She's an angel. Hi, Mom. Sorry about all the sex stuff. There's probably going to be a little bit more.
I mean, we should ask her, sex or food.
I would really rather not.
Well, okay, you don't.
Okay.
I'm curious about everybody, including
Word.
my
Mom,
parents.
sorry, but you're going to have to call in.
So how has drag changed in the 7 years that you've been doing it, both locally and maybe like more globally
Right.
speaking?
Okay. Well, I think when I got involved in drag, which is I want to say that was maybe like this is when RuPaul was finally starting to get off the ground. Like it was maybe season 3, season 2, something like that. That doesn't make math. 7 years. You do the math. I don't.
No, I think that's about right.
Okay. So when I got into it, it was all about female like illusion. And that's it. Like it wasn't about being fun. I could not have gotten away with doing the big eyes like I do now. It was all about how soft and feminine and fishy, which we're not supposed to use anymore, you could be. And I feel like that's changed a lot. And I think a lot of it is, first of all, because the show got a little more inclusive. Not a lot if you've been following it. Let's get a trans girl on there. But it's opened its doors to more than just I'm trying to be a sexy runway model. Like it's more than just I'm trying to be RuPaul. Like now it's like I'm trying to be a drag queen and here are my followers and here's what I can bring you. And that's just on the show. You take into account that everyone's gotten a lot more political with their drag, which I love. I love the fact that people are starting to realize that their platform means more than just selling t-shirts or a joke that you know is going to get you a lot of new followers or likes. Like we're at one of the most divisive moments in politics that we've had in decades, and people like immediately are picking themselves up by their bootstraps or their stilettos or whatever, and they're just like, this is fucked up. And if you want to listen to me, if you want to keep looking at my pretty ass face, you got to listen to what I have to say. And so it's become a lot more political and a lot more freeing now, which is it's incredible to see, you know.
I think that is a really cool place to be. And your drag daughter, Tangerine Dream, shared a post, and then I shared it. I don't know if you saw that, where it says like drag queens, if when you picked up the heels and the wig and you signed up for this, you signed up for activism and speaking out. And I thought that's why I shared it, because it was that is such a part of it. Like
it absolutely is. And I apologize for sounding uneducated, but yes, absolutely. That's where drag got its start, was with politics, was with shaking things up, which was with saying, I'm here and I'm not going to stop talking until you give me what I need. So I almost feel like we forgot about that a little bit, and we kind of fed into the glamour of drag and the celebrity of it, which, I mean, who can blame society? We're always trying to chase like the next big thing. We want to be pretty. We want to be celebrities. And I think more and more as time goes by, we're starting to strip back the veneer a little bit and look back at what was underneath, and we're trying to like get back to the core of what it is, which is to make a difference while also looking pretty. Look fantastic, but be fantastic first. Yes. Okay. Absolutely. And would you say, I mean, that was kind of globally. Of course, that would probably be the same locally. Mm-hmm. Is there anything maybe less, I don't want to say less heavier, because I'm not trying to drive this in a like let's be cutesy version, because right. We can be as like political and heavy as we want to be on this show. Word. But is there anything you've noticed locally changing with drag, maybe in the aesthetic, or would you say that it's become more like be political, be active, be vocal? I mean, it definitely, how should I put it? It's hard to say within the community how much it's changed politically, because it's been about 3 months and everyone's been on Facebook, and I appreciate my platform, but a lot of people have been getting to me recently, not necessarily individual people, but the whole climate. So I haven't been on Facebook all that much. I will say before all of this, the big issue for me was that people didn't really seem to be excited by drag anymore. Like they'd come out, they'd be like, here's this wig that I just bought, and here's some makeup I barely put effort into, and I'm just gonna like kind of hunch around to some Selena Gomez song. And it's like, that's fine, starting out that way, we all got to start somewhere. I will gladly show you my most busted pictures. But like, it's like people didn't enjoy what they were doing, so they weren't putting effort into what they were doing. And so I feel like that's changed a lot. I feel like people are like starting to really love what they do. Like they're starting to see that drag isn't just about looking like a sexy runway model. Like I don't care what your aesthetic is. I don't care if you are like crazy villain. I don't care if you're like Disney acid trip. I don't care if you're going for glamour and subtle. Like I want whatever you're doing, I want you to love it. And I want you to go on stage with that vibe that like, this is something I put my effort into, this is what I enjoy, and I want to share it with the world. And I think we're finally getting there locally. And it's really cool to see people come to the gig. Like, there are so many queens that got their start well after me. And I see them in the club and I'm like, this bitch got it going on. Like, I need to step it up to like keep up with her, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say it's changed, but for the most part, it's changed for the best.
So what you're saying, if I'm understanding right, is like have passion for what you're doing.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
Passion
Absolutely.
is such a great thing, and if you don't have passion, I don't know why you're not just drag or comedy, or if you don't have passion for cleaning the tires, quit working at the car wash.
Yes, absolutely. And as a side note, stop working at the car wash. You can do better.
Well, I mean, some people, but
I know, I get it.
I haven't done that yet.
All right.
We could have a car wash. We can raise some money.
Ooh, charity drag car wash. Let's put a pin in that. I like
Okay.
that. Okay.
Pin. Viewers, hold us to that. Now, you mentioned queens that have started after you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since you've started, and you can tell me when you started hosting After Hours, but since you've started hosting After Hours, and so many queens and just people that want to try out drag once or twice and then never do it again, they also have this. So I'm going to tell the viewers, After Hours is, or why don't I let you tell the viewers? I'm sorry.
Word, okay.
Tell the viewers what After Hours is.
So After Hours, I got started, I want to say 3, maybe even 4 years ago at this point. Math is not my thing. But it was basically designed to be an overflow for people that would come to the bar to watch RuPaul's Drag Race. And then afterward, if they had gotten through all the effort of putting on drag, then why not perform next door for a number and you can like get some tips out of it. And we did that like once or twice. And then they gave me the show for after that Drag Race season ended and said, let's see if we can make it work on a Monday. And I wasn't really given a budget. So I think we kind of initially agreed that it was just going to be about bringing on new talent. Like, if you're somebody in Sacramento or you've heard about the show in Sacramento and you come all the way down and you've got a costume, you've got a look in mind, you've got a performance in mind, we want to have you. And that's what it's been. And it's, it's gone through some dips and some rises, but for the most part, like, I feel like people really enjoy After Hours because it's not like the other shows in Sacramento, which are all incredible shows. I'm not downplaying any of the shows. It's just After Hours is different. After Hours isn't you're going to watch queens you already know and love, try to make more money, and celebrate them. This is more like these are local queens that maybe, or kings, or in-betweens who have never had the opportunity to perform before, getting on stage, showing you what they have in hopes of either attracting a fan base or getting a booking, or maybe it's personal. Maybe you just want to validate your art. Like it's for everybody. And I think that's why the show has taken off the way it has.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And like you said, not to diminish the importance of any other shows, but every show is important in its own way. And the, brunch that we're both part of, that's a great show. And I love doing it. And I love having a brunch, but that isn't a place where somebody can say, I've never done drag before. I'd like to try doing drag and see what it's like.
Right.
That's what After Hours is there for. And I think that's phenomenal because, as you know, and the viewers know at this point, I also have a foot at one of my 6-inch heels in the comedy world. Mm-hmm. And in comedy, you have open mics and music too. And so you always have these chances to try something out or see how it works, or everyone tells me I should be a comic. I'm going to try it this one time.
Right.
And you can't get booked in a show because you've never done it before. So you can try an open mic. And After Hours it's an amateur show, but it's also like an open mic where people can really see what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that's part of what's so fun about it is I will get people coming up to me that I never in a million years would have thought that would be interested in doing drag. And they'll just be like, hey, can I maybe just do like one spot coming up? Like, do you have any availability? And that's the best part of the show is you can literally, for the most part, just be like, if you're here and you're in costume and you're bringing me a CD or a flash drive, like you're in. Like it's wonderful to see how many people have latched onto it and realize that there is a spot for them in Sacramento to try it out, like just to give it a shot, because you don't get the same vibe in your bedroom, Buffalo Bill style, just like singing along to Whitney Houston. Like it's sometimes you need to get that full experience to decide if it's for you, and if it is, like how far do you want to take it?
Yeah, there's nothing like performing for a live audience except performing for a live audience. And you don't know what that's like until you've done it. And if you're like me, the first time is terrible, but then for some reason you keep doing it even though you're terrible. So I guess that's what queens and kings and in-betweens can do if they're 21. And then I had Yaya on the show maybe 2 months ago, and we talked about what queens and kings and in-betweens can do if they're under 21.
Right.
But this is a little more, it happens every week. There's lots of opportunity. Like you said, all you have to do is have a CD, because it's old school, and a flash drive and a costume, and you can go. Would you say that when you look at, and how you've been doing that for 5 years?
It's been like 3 or 4 at this point. Yeah.
So in the 3 or 4 years that you've been hosting After Hours, can you look at the queens that have come through and gone on to getting bookings and doing more things? Like, do you look at that like kind of with a sense of pride?
I really do. Yeah, it's and I don't take credit for these queens, because I feel like if you see someone who's put that much effort into it, like moving forward and doing incredible with their career, that's all on them. We're just providing the space for it. But there's definitely a sense of pride, like looking at someone who got their shaky start on and After Hours. Like she was never shaky, so this isn't a read. But Delta LaBelle, she got her started in After Hours. I think she did Neon Lights was her first big number, and she came out basically looking like a satellite with blinking lights and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's a look.
I was like, if that's your first number and you're putting that much effort into it, I can definitely see you going like very far. And she's like an almost weekly performer at Sequin Saturday. She gets bookings all over NorCal. She's beautiful, she's fabulous, she's Linda Evangelista, she's a model. Like, but that's my point. Like, there's so many people who will get their start at After Hours, and it's all based on how you market yourself, because we're not an agency as well. Like, we're literally just here's the venue. What you do with your drag is up to you. But to see what some people have done and how far they've gone with it is like, it's inspiring, and it warms my heart. It's cool to see someone try an artistic endeavor and do well with it.
Right on. I think it's one of the coolest shows, and if anyone is watching and you're local and you didn't know about After Hours, check it out when the world goes back to normal. I'm going to mute my phone. Sorry, I'm a terrible person. It's Monday nights.
How the fuck dare you?
Yeah, I'm off. There we go.
It is Monday nights. It is at, when the world opens again, it's going to be Monday nights at 10:30. And that's at Badlands. Right now, we're going through format changes, because we've been doing it online as well, through like Instagram Live, through Zoom meetings, through Facebook Live. Like, we're trying to find what sticks the best right now. Like, because there's a lot of platforms where you can't play certain types of music, or you'll get muted, or the show will get called off,
right,
or whatever. So it's all been a pain in the ass, but ideally, once we find a good one, we're going to start advertising shows online for the foreseeable future until drag is allowed to happen again at the bars.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see. You answered all my questions for After Hours. Why is it important to you? What's your favorite part about hosting it? Did you say that already?
Maybe not. Free liquor. I literally just asked Shay over to the bar, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, do you want another? I'm like, yeah. And then they give me another. That's it.
Right on.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk about something heavy and real, but I have more drag questions. So which way do you want to go? Do you wanna,
okay.
We can talk heavy, and then if there's time, we can come back.
You know what? I think Chelsea was great at keeping the mood up, so we can go heavy if we need to, and then we'll just play it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you are very open and honest on social media about mental health.
Yes.
How are you coping during COVID?
It's a roller coaster. I feel like a lot of us right now we're at the tail end of this quarantine, which, whether you agree with it or not, that's where we're at. All the things are opening again. People are going back outside. And I think it was hard for a lot of us who, I myself, I've been diagnosed with ADHD and depression. And the depression is the one that's the hardest to maintain right now. I think for all of us, like, just staying indoors and knowing that we can't go outside and socialize with our friends, or that, maybe we don't have the right health care, so now we're stuck indoors in our thoughts, not getting the proper medication or talking to people like we should be, and it's hard. And my heart goes out to everybody right now, because it hasn't just been quarantine. Like, if it was just quarantine, I'm more or less certain most of us would have survived. But unfortunately, we have the terrible thing that happened with George Floyd. We have these protests going on, and I say this not to sound like a victim by any means, because it's fully not that at all. But like, I feel like as someone with a platform and people who follow it online, it's really difficult right now, because you want to show love and support, but you also don't want to look performative, and you don't want to look like you're virtue signaling. So like, you want people to know that you're being genuine, and you don't want to come across as fake, and you want to make sure that you're talking to the people that you love and care about, and not the people that might be on the wrong side of things. And it's an act, like a balancing act that you're always trying to maintain. And if you are depressed, it's even harder. And so I reach out to a lot of the performers that I work with, just saying like, hey girl, I know this is really hard right now. And like, just trying to make sure that you're on the right side of history like from day to day can be insanely heavy. So it's been tough, but I've been trying to make the right choices. I've been very grateful to have been doing therapy for the past 3 months. I have a great therapist. We meet every other week, and she's helped me maybe not necessarily be better, like wake up just like, I'm done, bye depression. It's more like, I can now see the depression, and I can understand where it's coming from, and I can start doing things to kind of remind myself that this is temporary and that I can get out of that headspace.
That's really cool. Shout out to the therapist.
Hi, Carly. What's up?
Hey, everyone should have one, really, truly.
Absolutely.
I've learned a lot about depression during COVID, just being cooped up, and with everything going on. And something that I really admire about you is you might not be feeling, to use a colloquial young person term, you might not be feeling 100, right? You might not, and if anyone's watching and they're over 35, she might not be feeling great, but you still perform and you still make other people feel great. Yeah. That can't be easy.
It's not always. I think for me, I'm going to say it's gotten easier lately, because I think when you're a drag performer and you start to realize like what you're trying to bring across to the audience, it becomes a lot easier to do it. So, and by that I mean, like, there are some of us that, tell jokes. There are some of us that dance the house down boots. There are some of us that give a great ballad with like incredible emotions and stuff like that. But until you know that that's what you're passionate about doing in your drag performance, like, it's hard to feel confident in it and feel like what you're doing is valid and like you're doing what you should be doing. And I think recently I've just kind of just did some brain digging, and I was like, okay, well, me as a performer, I am all about the things that made me happy when I was a kid, like before depression set in and things got a little rough. Like, and I loved the 90s style. I loved early 2000s and 90s music. And half the time I dress like I'm like the host of a kid's show. Like, I love, there are certain things that I think we all resonate with in terms of like finding joy. And I think a lot of that is just, if someone looks like they're bright and positive and they're giggly and they're happy and everything that they're saying is warm and inviting, like, you're gonna wanna see that. And now that I'm kind of at a point where like I realize that that's what I want to be doing with my drag and what I feel like give off best, just like a bubbly personality and jokes and stuff like that, it has become easier. You just have to, I don't know, like, I don't want to say you just have to try, because it's not that. It's like trying in and of itself right there is just, it's a roller coaster, because you first have to get yourself to a good mindset where you're like, I've got this, I can live my life, I can make it from day to day, and then from there, once you've got that incredible hard thing like laid down, then you can start building on, so what does that mean for my career and my life and stuff like that.
Sure. No, I like I said, I've been experiencing a little bit of depression during COVID, and I messed up my makeup so bad last week, and that's just one week, and so it's really admirable and amazing that you can do that every week for people. What has helped you through this, and what hasn't? Like, I mean, you have a therapist,
right? For sure, that's helped out a lot.
Sure.
I say this kind of jokingly, but also not. Weed has been huge for me.
No, that's a real answer.
Oh my God, no, seriously. I know it's not for everybody, so I'm not trying to sell everybody. But I think maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I started utilizing it to help medicate my depression, and it's helped out a lot. Like, I feel like, especially right now, when the news has been just way too intense, and you're just tired of people, and you're tired of like feeling like exhausted before the day's even started. Like, sometimes if you know you can't go anywhere anyway, like if you take a little hit, oh my god, like I hit that, and it's anywhere. Granted, most days are like, I'm on top of the world, I can do anything, throw everything you got at me. And then sometimes I just cry because I didn't have a relationship with my father. Like, it's a roller coaster, it's weird, but for the most part, it's helped me out a lot.
Okay, so specifically asking, just in case anyone's watching and they're like, oh, I didn't know that could help with depression. Are you using a sativa, an indica? Are you smoking? Is it an edible?
So I used to do indica, and I'm very lazy when I'm on indica, which is like a staple of it. So it's not like I was surprised, like, what, indica and I can't move? But like now these days I'll do like I'll do a sativa, or I'll do like a hybrid. I guess what I'm looking for when I do smoke is I'm looking to be calm and relaxed, but not tired. Like, sometimes I call it my pre-workout supplement. Like, if I know I'm going to be running to the gym anyway, I'll take a hit so that the pain's not even all that bad. I'll jog to the gym. I'll lift weights. I'm not the poster child for it, and I'm definitely not a scientist. I could be one person experiencing like superhuman gifts from it,
But that's important, because even if there's one other person out there that this would work for, because that's something you kind of have to do, is you kind of have to find what works for you. And this works for you. And so it might work for one of the viewers. It might not work for another. But if somebody hasn't tried it, they can try this, and maybe they never thought it would work. But now here you are sitting here saying it works. Yeah. So give it a try.
If you're depressed, get high.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
What do you have to lose? Like, you could...
Your job if they test frequently, I guess.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, do it right now during COVID if you're...
Just during COVID.
Like, not working.
Yeah.
What else can we talk about with mental health? I'd like to know more about your thoughts on it. But I didn't have any more questions really specifically prepared. What advice do you have for people watching and they're like, oh yeah, I think I am depressed?
I think, well, if you're watching this and you're depressed, first of all, I love you. I'm sorry you have to be going through this right now. It is the worst thing to deal with sometimes. It feels that way because it's like it's not just a simple pill you can take, and it's not just going to bed early and waking up the next day, and it's not just drinking more water and going out to the woods to meditate. Like, it's a problem in your mind. It is a chemical imbalance, and it's not your fault that you feel this way. It's up to you to get it taken care of, and to start looking at a medication, but it's not your fault. And then otherwise, like, other than that, like, it just in broad terms, what I really want to get across is my platform is largely about destigmatizing mental illness. And I think that's like, if you've met me in person and it's not just this like sitting one-on-one sort of thing, like, I'm a crazy person. Like, I'm loud, I'm screaming at people, I'm making jokes that maybe 3 people in their 40s get, and that's it. But like, I'm while it can be a pain in the ass, like with the mental illness that I do have, like controlling it and making sure that I'm not going too far, or that like I'm having spikes, or that, you know, I'm not focusing on things the way I should be. Like I'm open about it so that people know that even though this is what I've got going on, this isn't defining my life, and it's not something that's stopping me from living it. Like I feel like I want the world to start looking at mental illness not as something to be ashamed of, and not as something to be vilified or scared of, and to really start looking at it like you would, like, I don't know, like a broken leg or a broken arm. Like, oh, my brain's broken, better go to the doctor. And then it's just that. I understand we're all like, we'll see someone acting odd, and if it benefits us to say, oh, they're acting crazy, we'll say they're acting crazy, and it is what it is. But if you know someone who's having problems, and they open up to you to tell you, like, hey, I think I'm depressed, or I think I'm suicidal, that is a really hard conversation to have with anyone. And if you don't feel like that's, you feel like you're qualified enough to have that conversation, that's fine. But, you know, maybe think, rather than immediately being frightened by your friend coming to you about that, you would say, like, you know, I'm really proud of you for coming to me about that, and I value the fact that you are open to speaking with me about that. I want to help you. I don't really have the skill set to do so, but I'd be more than happy to, you know, help you find a therapist, or help you find like a therapist that you could go to, or even just saying, it's not what I can't help you with this. I might recommend seeing a therapist, and just leaving it that, like, while still being positive and a friend, like you can inspire so much change and help so many of your friends who are going through this right now if you just have an open mind and you just try to destigmatize mental illness. That was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
That's okay. You're on my show. Everything I say is long-winded.
That is so true.
So here's a question. If somebody's watching and they're like, wow, I'm depressed. Here's a drag queen who works with her depression and lives life. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should try drag. Would you recommend that to anyone watching?
Depends. I feel like what you need to know when getting into drag is it's a lot. And you, like any, you know, like any drag queen or king or drag in between that you speak to will say that it's a lot. Like especially if you're putting a lot of effort into it, and like, let's say there's corsetry, there's padding, there's making sure that your face looks just right. You have to learn how to blend. You have to learn how to glue your eyebrows down. You have to learn how to tease and style, or if you're me, like drop a bunch of money for somebody else to do it. But like, there's a lot of steps there. And if your depression feels tied to the fact that you feel unfulfilled artistically, I say, yeah, go for it. Give it a shot. What are you going to hurt to just throw on a wig, borrow a friend's wig, throw on some makeup? I will say, if you're looking at it from like a financial perspective, or if you're thinking like it might just be something fun to do, just understand your limits. Like, I know for me, some days it's harder than others to like wake up and be like, I'm about to spend literally an hour and a half to 2 hours putting on a face, and I don't even want to be at that venue today. That's hard. But on the flip side, that can really help too. You'll be doing the makeup and thinking like, I really don't want to be there right now. Every part of my being is saying I should be at home, watching Netflix in my bed. And yet there you are putting on makeup and forcing yourself to go out. Like, that can be a great exercise. It's just, it's hit or miss depending on what you're going through in life, and what if you do have a mental illness, like depending on which one it is and how severe it is. I'll say this. I'll keep it concise and say, if it seems like something fun, give it a shot. Absolutely. If you're looking at it as a career, just put thought into what you can handle.
It is a lot, and it is a lot of work, and I think this is something we've talked about on the show before, is some people get into drag or comedy thinking like, oh, this looks like something easy that I can be famous for. And it's like, no, child.
Oh, yeah.
Don't do it because of that.
Don't do it. No, that's a terrible idea. And literally, like, and that's another thing. And I'm sure you do it too. Comparing yourself to other performers all the time.
All the time.
Because there's a whole bunch of different kinds of drag. Like, you know, you and I, we're more about being on the mic and chatting with people and hyping crowds. And even though you know that that's your skill set, you'll see Helen Heels like dancing the house down boots and doing like a backflip and some like 8 counts, and you're like, I can barely do the hokey pokey on a good day. and I can't be sober for that.
Right.
You watch that and you're like, how can I be as good as this performer? And that's what's always going to get you. You have to be able to look at yourself doing that and think, I can't be good at everything. I can't be, it's not like the Avatar where I'm trying to get like the elements of dance and the elements of wigs and the elephants of makeup.
Ooh.
But I've yet to meet them, but I bet they're like freaking big and beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? Is like, you have to understand that you have a developed skill set already. And if you want to learn how to do all this other stuff, you can, but you don't have to compare yourself to someone that does something that's completely different from what you do.
I think that's a really good answer. And that's something, like, just to tie back a couple of answers ago, when I started at After Hours.
Mm-hmm.
And, now I get chances to perform, even weekly on this show. I'm getting to whatever this is, do this.
Sarah Jessica Parker realness.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. But now After Hours is about, for me, when I do it, is about like, oh, I'd like to be better at dancing like Helen, or I'd like to deliver a ballad like Rosie. Maybe I can try that out at After Hours, because it's not my first time anymore. It's not the first time I'm performing. I'm not feeling kind of my way through that. I perform now. I've performed for crowds in other venues and other places.
Yeah.
So now I can use After Hours to try to dance better.
Right. Which is absolutely valid. Like, we have a lot of performers who have been performing in the area for a long time, or they're people that already have like a big fan base, and they'll tell me like, hey girl, do you mind if I like go in either for a tip spot, or if they're just like, I want to try something new tonight. Like, yeah, absolutely. By all means, do it at After Hours. If you're not convinced that a performance or I almost called it a skit. Wow. If you feel like your performance is questionable, you're not sure how it's going to be received, by all means, do it at our show first. Treat it like Canada. Like, do it there. And then if you felt it, or if you felt parts of it that worked, polish it and then do it at like Showcase or at the Diamond Soiree or the Diva Show, like anywhere really.
Even though you guys are open to stand-up comedy, I will say from experience, After Hours is not the best place to try stand-up comedy.
That is true.
It is a place you can try stand-up comedy, but it's not a good place to practice.
And remember that everybody who is thoroughly drunk thinks that they're a comedian. That is not always correct.
Yeah, the degree of difficulty, and when I started, it was doing stand-up comedy at After Hours, and I didn't understand the degree of difficulty to do stand-up comedy at After Hours is very high.
Oh yeah.
So maybe don't try that there. You
No.
can, of course.
But you know what? On the flip side of that, there are a lot of great open mics in Sacramento where you can be a drag queen and do it, and like people either won't care that you're in drag, or they'll think it's more funny that you're in drag. So you can't go wrong with it, really. I mean, have you had a lot of like negative crowds within Sacramento who have hated like what you do in drag?
No.
There you go.
No, none.
Boom.
So yeah, I think the takeaway from that is, if you want to perform, there's always a place for you to perform.
Yeah.
And if that's going to help you, just try to tie it back to the question that I asked, so I'm not a terrible interviewer. If it's going to help you to express yourself creatively, by all means, express yourself creatively.
Right.
You know, there are venues and avenues for that. What else would you say about mental health that you'd like people to know?
I think look within your community, I want to say. I feel like especially within the gay community, there are a lot of us who are open about their struggles. And I think that there's a lot of great facilities and organizations in Sacramento that can help out with it. There's one that I champion every time I do a charity show, where I get to pick the charity, and I'm spacing. I feel terrible.
What do they support?
So basically, it's what I'm trying to push, just the overall destigmatization.
Oh, is that NAMI?
NAMI, thank you. Yes, absolutely.
NAMI.org.
NAMI.org. They're an incredible organization. And but yeah, like going back to what I was saying, like I think that we don't always realize, especially if you have a mental illness, there's a good chance that you're not talking to people about it. Or maybe you're not super comfortable around people in general, but there are a lot of people in our community, especially like I've noticed with drag queens that I've worked with and a few kings as well, where it's been like, hey, this is my platform. I have a mental illness, and if you need to just like either talk to me about it or have me point you in the right direction of where to go, I'm here. So like, you know, I don't want to put anyone on blast by like, or not even blast, but like I don't want to out anybody who's not super comfortable with me talking about it. But I will say, one of my hosts at After Hours, he's very open about it. One of the Sacramento icons that I look up to, she's very open about it. And it's like, if we're willing to be that open about that and tell you that we're going through some stuff and we're constantly trying to work through it, like we're not gonna then shade you and be like, you don't know me, don't talk to me. Like if you come up to me at a show and I'm not about to do a number, that's something. Like if it's after a show and I'm chilling there, if you come up to me and say, hey, I know you talk about mental illness a lot and I'm going through some stuff, or I think I might be going through some stuff, can you talk to me or can you point me in the right direction? I will happily do that. And I know a lot of us would be willing to do that for you too. So.
Right. So if you're out there and you're watching, you're not alone, and communication is really important.
Word.
Okay. We can come back to any of that.
Okay, word.
But
Okay.
I did have a couple other questions.
No, please, let's do this.
All right. You've performed in so many different... It's weird. There's no transition.
No transition.
Blend the transition, Suzette. You've performed in so many different venues and shows. What's the most interesting venue you've performed in?
Oh, that one's tough. Not in terms of what it was, because it was a gay bar, but Moby Dick in the Castro district of San Francisco. My buddy, another fabulous queen who's super open about her struggles and is just dazzling to look at. Queen Dilly Dally. She hosted a show there that I want to say was every Thursday, Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'd make the drive, and I loved that bar because like you go up the stairs, and there was an actual stage like with curtains and everything like that.
Oh, proscenium.
Oh yeah, it was pristine. But then like you'd walk back there, and like when it's not a stage, it's like a vintage arcade. So like you're getting changed, and there's like pinball machines and like a pool table, and you feel so cool. Like there's like the little laughing clown or whatever in one of them. You're like, that's not creepy. Like it was unusual because I feel like most gay bars that I go to are profoundly gay. Mm-hmm. Like it's more like here's rainbows, here's dark flashing lights, here's top 40, you done. But there it's just, I don't know, it had a charming vibe to it. Like I felt like I was there not as somebody mashing my mouth around to a song, but like as a performer that people wanted to see. And that was really cool to me. So shout out to Moby Dick. Unless something terrible happened with Queen Dilly Dally's show, in which case boycott. Don't do that either. Don't do that.
Shout out to Queen Dilly Dally.
Shout out to Queen Dilly Dally, QDD. She's amazing. Love her.
You've also been performing in some virtual shows in the last 3 months. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the virtual shows?
They're hard. Especially like every performer that I know has talked about this, and it's so true. We were already expected to do a lot as performers, like that comes with the gig. A lot of us didn't have like a big like team like you'd see in RuPaul. So, you know, a lot of us, not always me, are styling wigs, designing outfits, like putting together like an 8-count situation for their performance, like coming up with like this great concept, stoning, beating, all that stuff. And then you go out and you get paid like $50 for that. That's like kind of the standard for drag in like Sacramento. It got even harder when it took the leap to cyber drag, digital drag, because it was like, we now have to be great at lighting. We have to be great at sound. We have to be good at producing and editing. Oh my God, that has like been the bane of my existence. I think I've done maybe 3 videos now because it's so much.
It's a lot, and if you're making videos at home, I'm going to jump in really quick and say sound is the most important of all of the elements, your sound. Don't have the sound 7 feet away from the camera. Dub the music.
Especially if you are not doing a live performance, dub the music. Otherwise, it seems very much like you're watching a webcam thing that you're not supposed to be watching.
Dub the music. And while I'm talking about sound and we're talking about teams, it's a really good moment for me to say that I am actually pretty lucky, and I can always come to you or go to Taryn or Yaya. Pocket helps me more than anyone ever should have to help me, and more than I deserve. So I'm very...
Pocket's at home right now, like, yep, that's right, I do.
He really does. Like, I couldn't do half of what I do with my shows without Pocket's help. So thank you to Pocket and DJ Pocket. I'm talking about the...
Hot Pocket, DJ Pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
The best Sacramento DJ, in my opinion.
The best. The shortest and the best.
The shortest and the best. That's not a bad combination.
No, it's not.
But yeah, so, I mean, that is important to have, because... if you have people that are willing to help you and help you film things, that's helpful and useful. But if you don't, that is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. It is. And it's even if you've got like a roommate and like a partner that you're hunkering down with, like, it's still a lot to ask of just 3 people. Like, you gotta think, like, all the good videos that you see, or just the editing that you see in like RuPaul's Drag Race, like, that's a team right there. And that's not a whole lot of special effects or anything. That's just good lighting, good editing, good sound. So you have to have that as a basis. And if you're just doing it by yourself and you're working with, I don't know, like the natural lighting that you've got in your house, or you're recording outside or something like that, that's going to be a pain in the butt for you. You're going to be constantly like trying to like change the levels in editing to make it look brighter. Like, it's a lot.
It is a lot. But I'm going to take a moment to fangirl out here and say that when I watch your virtual videos, they're always amazing. So you make it work. And if you're watching at home and you've never seen Apple perform and you'd like to, there are some videos online that you can check out.
I do have a few on the YouTubes.
Yeah, and really good stuff. I don't like watching people sit in a chair for 4 minutes, but girl, the way you sit in a chair, you do something. Je ne sais quoi.
I'm just so good at sitting, you guys. I will say this too, like, and this is not me trying to read anybody, but like, one of the things that's really hard to perfect, that I'm noticing is hard for a lot of people to perfect right now, is hosting. Because like in theory, this is great right now, because anyone who's wanting to host a show can now host a show. You just need either your Instagram, you need like a Twitch handle, you need like a Zoom, like whichever your platform is. But the problem is, I will occasionally go into a show where it's like someone who's been wanting to host for a while will just be like, "Weren't they amazing, ladies and gentlemen? Coming up next to the stage is an absolute spitfire. Please put your hands together for Safonda Cox." And it's like, where is the energy? Scream like you want to see Safonda. Like,
yeah. No, I could definitely use more energy in my hosting, but something I've noticed about people host, because everyone has a show right now, is you don't have to talk for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to just say, hey, that was a great performance by Apple. Here's a wonderful performance coming up from Jesse Jones.
Simple.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best, because, hosting, like you mentioned earlier, that's kind of where my land is, that I put my little flag in, is like, I can host, and it's not easy. It's a lot of work.
It is. And it's, by no means am I shooting anyone down.
No, not at all.
Trying this right now. It's just, keep that in mind. You are kind of like, by being the host of the show, you're kind of like the centerpiece that people are going to keep looking back at. Mm-hmm. Like, if you're like, if the food's just okay, but the centerpiece is pretty bomb, you might walk out being like, well, the centerpiece is freaking cool. So like, just like, understand that while the other performers are like the main dish and that's what people came to like get in on, like, it's just as important that you're there keeping them pumped, like telling them like, hey, weren't they great? Weren't they interesting? Or like Megan Pixel, my favorite person in the whole wide world in drag, she came up with the best thing to say for people who may not have done the best job. And that is, well, she looked like she was having fun. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up next to the stage, like, just, you can say something nice about anybody, even if the performance was terrible. Like, we're all about trying to empower everybody that was a part of the show. We don't want to talk down anybody in the show. We want to, like, make sure that people feel like they were validated in coming out and spending their money or, like, spending their time with us.
Absolutely. And shout out Megan Pixel. She was on the show 2 weeks ago, and she actually did show her beat up, busted pictures. proudly.
She's so brave. I wouldn't do it.
I told her that. I was like, no one's seeing those ever. Not
But
anyone I date.
what was busted for Megan though? Like, oh, I didn't blend this in the way I should've.
She had a flower that everyone made fun of. Oh. Yeah, and it had its own Twitter account. We love Megan. That's
Megan
why we're saying
Pixels
this.
Flower. Follow her on Instagram.
What goes into preparing for a drag show for you?
Let's see. For me, I put more focus in the hosting than I do in the performing, because like, especially if it's after hours, there's a good chance I'm only performing once, and it's early enough to where a handful of people are going to see me. So for me, preparing means, in addition to putting on all the makeup and all that stuff, looking over what's topical right now, and like what is okay to joke about, what isn't okay to joke about, and if it's not okay to joke about it, can I still talk about it earnestly without people thinking it's a joke? Like, it's, I take pride in my ability to kind of keep a crowd upbeat and happy. It doesn't always work out. It's like comedians. Like, even if you're like the best comedian in the whole wide world, there is definitely going to be crowds where they are just dead and they don't understand what you're saying and they're not here for it at all. But that's why I want to spend the extra time to kind of do my research and put time into like working on jokes that I can like kind of just nitpick at in the car, because it's like it's more important to me that I gave a good hosting duty and an okay performance than to be an incredible performer but to be dead on the mic the entire time, you know? That's
good advice for anyone watching that wants to be a host, whether they're trying it out now or they think like one day I'd like to host. Like, that's really, I found that's I kind of also think about the hosting and the show more than I think about my own number, and I get mad at myself because I'm like, oh, you should think about your own number more. But
and you should, sure, but like, I mean, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying anyone
no,
should.
I should.
But it's harkening back to what I was saying earlier. You can't be perfect at everything. So if your pride and joy is making people laugh and keeping people excited on the mic, that can be enough. That can absolutely be enough. There are plenty of shows at least I've only really been through NorCal myself, but like through Northern California, where the host is just the host. No one's expecting her to go out and like frickin' slay it to Beyonce, especially if she's 55. But like they expect her to be a frickin' delight. Like, go around the room, talk to people. Hey, are you having a good time? Have you bought a drink yet? Why the fuck have you bought a drink yet? Did you see that dude? Like, you know, stuff like that. Like, there is importance in what you do, and you're not going to be great at everything. So, especially in cases like you or me or anyone who wants to start hosting, just do what seems fun about it, and just really put your pedal to the metal with wherever that direction is taking you.
I think that's really good advice.
Thank you.
What's the coolest part about doing drag?
The dick. No. I think the coolest part is I have met like some really nifty people that I didn't think I'd get to meet. And like they're not huge celebrities because it's Sacramento, but like they're like people coming through. Like I met Neon Hitch, I met Lady Miss Kier of Delight, I've met there's so many more, especially at Pride events. I met Dev. DJ put that record on. Her. She's incredible. I did not meet Todrick. I heard less than favorable things about him, but
he's very businesslike.
I can't be mad at that.
Right. I talked to him, and no shade on Todrick. It seems like a lot of people want to talk to him.
Well,
and he's kind of over that aspect.
That's true. And, he was in a town that he doesn't live in. And, we don't tour different cities all the time. But I bet if you did, you'd be like, you'd at least have a couple days where you're just like, all right, thank you so much. Or get the fuck out of my face. I'm going to be in, like, San Francisco tomorrow. Like,
yeah, just keeping it business.
Yeah.
So. That's a cool thing to think about when reflecting back on doing drag.
Yeah.
You have me reflecting now. What is the worst thing about doing drag?
For me, it's that this is so terrible, but like I'm 31 years old. I still feel uncomfortable leaving the house in drag. Like when I'm in my district or I'm near the bar, I feel confident, I feel cool, I feel collected, I feel like I'm a superstar. But like a lot of times, if I'm in a neighborhood that doesn't normally have a drag queen, and I'm like already 6 feet 6'1", like out of drag, adding heels and a wig and big makeup to that, like it's like I'm immediately signaling everybody in the area, like, come look at me and give me your opinions about me. And that's great in the club. I can work with that. When it's strangers who I know aren't my tribe, I still have issues with it. It's bizarre. Like, even walking into here, I was like, okay, if someone tries to stop me, just start walking faster. Like,
Yeah, no, that can be a tough thing especially when you're somewhere where people are going to have judgments about it.
And honestly, frankly, if all I've got to worry about is judgments, I'm lucky. Like, Sacramento's pretty okay at keeping, like, not being assholes, but like there are definitely cities out there where drag queens could just be walking to the gig and next thing you know, they're in the hospital. Trans people can't just walk around living their life right now without getting killed. So drag queens are going to be like, here's me in this bright, crazy makeup. I'm super tall. I look like Dolly Parton. Please don't hit me.
Right. But there are times where you're called upon to do things like that. And I've seen you step up in those moments. So
I am very courageous
you're
when I
able
feel
to
like I
face
have
that.
something to prove and I have had a little liquor.
Well, you don't have to go grocery shopping and drag with me. So,
But that could be fun. Let's put a pin in that, too.
Oh, and what was the other one?
Did someone put a pin in that?
We can watch it back. We can watch it back. Car wash.
Car wash. Drag car wash.
Car wash and grocery shopping.
Drag car wash, grocery shopping. I'm going to talk to you later. Okay.
What is the, Apple Adams, what is the craziest performance you've ever given?
The craziest. I don't really get super crazy with my numbers. I think maybe it would either be my Divinals number where I like halfway through I talk about getting choked out by a fireman, but God, I don't know. Like, I guess I always kind of play it a little safe, and I don't mean to. It's just they're more fun for me. Like, if I'm doing like the name game or some stuff, like, I feel comfortable because it's all about being like kitschy and silly and funny. I don't really do a lot of like dark stuff, spooky stuff.
Well,
Here's,
I mean,
like,
you can define
explosions.
crazy however you want. So, like, I don't know if anyone is going to look up your videos, but they should, like we talked about earlier.
Not
So
all
you-
of them. Please don't look at all of them.
Okay, so you've done Moo a couple times, and we've talked about Doja Cat
Moo,
on the show,
yeah.
so we don't need to legislate Doja Cat, but
Mm.
you've done Moo, and that's kind of a crazy number that I've never seen other people try that vein of performing.
And and this isn't me like trying to like pull from it, like tell me more about it, but like that's the one that kind of floors me because it's like I have fun doing it, I really do. But at the end of the day, I'm just in a slutty cow costume going moo a lot, which is fun to do. But I'll have people come up to me being like, "I saw you do moo and I loved it. It was instantly iconic." I was like, "Was it? Was it really? I mean, thank you. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm just one woman trying her best, but like."
Okay, well, I will tell you more. Also, you do what number do you do that I like in the nun habit?
Oh, I do a lot. Do single ladies?
No, there's another one.
Oh, oof.
I'm like, which one is my favorite? Tell me.
Gosh.
But you kind of with whatever one it is, you kind of push the line a little bit by wearing a habit and doing the song.
Okay.
And I wish I knew the song.
Well, because the only one I really
terrible
only know
super
aside
fan.
from that is like "Hail Holy Queen," like from Sister Act. Because so in Single Ladies, I do start gyrating against a Jesus plate. Is
that might be it.
Okay.
And I feel like that's putting it out there a little bit.
That's true. You know what? I'll say that.
And I think with Moo, I think the risk, if I can say that, because that's kind of what we're talking about, is the risk of doing the number and making it
Is
work.
being a white man lip syncing a black rapper's song.
No, I don't think that's it. I think the risk is you are, like you said, dressed like a slutty cow.
Yeah.
That's not something that people, like if you come out dressed like a sexy nurse, a slutty nurse, everyone's going to go, oh, okay, and that's
Right.
something I would do.
Right.
But you're like, no, I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to
Be
go out like a sexy slutty cow.
Which I take no credit for, because if you've seen the Moo video, she like totally looks like sexy slutty cow with her like her Moo print and whatnot.
Yeah, I still wouldn't try it personally.
Well,
and you make it work. And then
you.
you're doing a song where, like, the first time I heard it, I didn't know the song, and you literally are just saying moo. Like, I mean, there's other words.
Word, yeah.
But, like, moo is a very prominent lyric in the song.
Thank you.
And I think that is scary for some people. I mean, I can think of some people that would, jump at the chance. But I think like that can be nerve-wracking. Like, what if people don't like it after the second moo? Like the first moo, you're like, oh, they didn't like it, they'll get it after the second moo. They didn't like it after the second moo. Oh shit. Like, what do you do that? Because like you're gonna say it like 7 more times.
Oh,
70
word.
more times.
Well, no, but that's actually kind of, and thank you for pointing that out, because like there's a lot, I have a lot of fun in drag when I'm doing something that I know wouldn't necessarily go over well. Like, and by that I mean like performing it strong like it would, but maybe it's a concept that's a little weird, or like maybe I'm wearing something that nobody else would wear. And I do that a lot. I love going to thrift stores and like finding like, what freaking bowl cut ass lesbian in the 70s wore this? Answer, I did, and I'm about to again. Like, I love crazy outfits. Sometimes I like dressing like it's picture day. Like, I love wearing stuff that's so unusual. And I like doing songs that are not necessarily things that you'd hear at a club. Or that you wouldn't expect a drag queen to just kind of let loose with. Because I feel like, you see a lot of queens, like, they're so beautiful, they're so glamorous, like, they're going to give me, like, eleganza, they're going to do some sexy Christina Aguilera number or something like that, and then take it all off. And then you see me come out, and I'm just like, I don't know, like, let's do bomb, 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 and I'm just like, I'm the cat with the bass and drum, and, like, just being weird and having fun with it, because I feel like that's part of like what people want to see at a show. Like, you definitely want to see the elegance and you want to see polished, but like every once in a while you just want to see a queen lose her shit.
I think that's the answer to the question, is you don't have a particular crate because all of your baseline is crazy performance. Yeah. so you're kind of giving what's not expected.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen if you're an Apple Adams fan, the Apple Core, they're called. If you're an Apple Core, then shout out. Then you kind of know what to expect. But if someone's never seen you, they might be surprised. Mm-hmm. And I can't not say this number I can't move on without acknowledging. I love when you do Miss Frizzle and do the song Valerie. So people don't get that. We were just talking about it the other day.
Her name is Valerie Frizzle, ladies and gentlemen, so we can figure that out now.
It's a whole, So if you see it, that's why.
You
need to come out with a magic school bus, like just a cardboard cutout. I don't know.
Just all aboard the bus.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all my questions except for rapid fire. Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
Let's do
Apple Adams?
rapid fire. I'm so ready.
What is your favorite thing about the existence of brunch?
Bottomless mimosas.
Okay. Drag name you didn't end up using?
There's 2, Danny California and Joystick.
What is the longest you've ever been in drag in one day?
Like 15 hours.
Oh, yeah. That's about everyone's
Prides.
top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you name your wigs?
No, but I subscribe characters to them.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that. What's your favorite wig color?
Red or pink.
Okay. When you put on a bra, do you clasp it in the front and spin it around, or do you clasp it in the back with unnatural arms?
I do it in front. I have no skill level whatsoever with taking off bras or putting them on.
Everyone I've ever asked that question to, women included, except for Chelsea, is a front and spin.
Okay, well, first of all, Chelsea should be excluded because she's incredible at everything she does.
Right.
But, like, that's so weird to me. Like, I feel like surely, because you see it in the movies. Like,
right.
It's just, maybe it's just a movie thing.
I think it's just a movie thing, because I've interviewed other women, and they're like, no, I'm a front and spin.
Front and spin. That's the sex move.
Isn't it? Let's see. How high is too high for high heels?
If you can walk on them, do fucking stilts. Like, for me, like, I'm getting at a point in my life where it's like, I'm gonna make myself sound ancient there, so I'm gonna backpedal what I was gonna say. I am getting older, and as such, maybe my balance isn't as great as it used to be. So I like to stick with a sensible, like, every once in a while I'll do like a 2 if it's a throwback number, but for the most part I'll do like 4 inches.
Okay. What is your favorite song to perform to, and why?
Groove is in the Heart by Delight. I think it's one of those songs where it's like everybody knows it. Everybody likes to just get silly with it, and even if you don't know it, it's like an Austin Powers sort of everything's groovy and everything's fun and let's just dance and get silly sort of thing. Which follow up to that, my second favorite song is Soul Bossa Nova, which is the Austin Powers theme song.
That is, in my mind, that is who Apple Adams is.
I could not agree more.
Okay, so I'm on point. What is your favorite show to perform in?
My own, After Hours, but there's so many great shows around here. So like, I don't know. I really love doing Fridays Are a Drag. That one's really fun for me because it's like it's it's a bunch of people who may not necessarily go out to drag shows hearing that there's a big drag show, so everyone should go see it. And that's usually hosted by Taryn Through You, by the way. I want to say it's every third Friday it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, but it's fun and it's cool because everyone that comes out, of the group that comes out, not everybody is a drag stan. And they'll just be like, it's like, me and my friends came out for my bachelorette party, or oh my god, or I saw Drag Race and you look like a basic Trixie Mattel, I love it. Like, you know, it's like you get those people, and while I'm like making fun of them, can I touch you? Can I grab your wig? Can I just yank? But like, well, I'm talking crap about them, but it's really good to see them there because it's like it's refreshing to see what people outside of our community are interested in when it comes to drag. Like, do you like that? Are you a fan of the fact that I do my makeup this way? Or are you a fan of the fact that I act this way? Or like, and you'll see how those people respond as opposed to the people that come out to every show. And you know the ones that come out to every show because they're always like the skinny bitch with a fanny pack in front on their phone, just like occasionally looking up every now and then. Like, yeah, it's fine. I tipped her $5 on Venmo. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. What is your favorite venue to perform in?
I don't want to get myself in trouble because I work with so many.
You don't have to answer. You can say all of them.
I will say Badlands, and that's because it kind of feels like my home bar. I do work there outside of drag as like a DJ and a whole bunch of other stuff. So like, I just it already feels like family to me.
Let me ask you a curveball question.
Sure.
What's your favorite? You've done stand up before.
I have.
What's your favorite venue to do stand up in? I'm
gonna say Punchline.
Oh.
I'm gonna say Punchline because I've had a lot of great experiences with them just in performing in general, like doing drag and, you know, like doing lip syncs or just going up to do like a quick 5. Like, it's been fun for me. So yeah, I would say Punchline.
Right on. What is the funniest thing an audience member ever said to you after a show?
That I look like a really pale Trixie Mattel.
Like she's tan?
Yeah, right. Well, but I'm just like, it's always funny to me when people like, because it doesn't happen to me often, the comparisons, but I will have friends who get the comparisons, and it's like, we all know it's well intentioned. We don't really want to hear that we look like somebody who's more successful than us.
I mean, do you want to hear the opposite, though? Do you want to hear, like, you look like somebody who's not successful?
Yes.
Really?
Ooh, yes. One of my favorite stories to tell in the whole wide world was, like, my first gig I was walking to in drag. And I was hitting the gym a lot more than I do right now. And there was this homeless gentleman who saw me walking by, and he very politely said, "Hey, yo, you got big arms, bitch." And that is the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. So, yes, give me that instead.
I don't get Drag Race girls. I just get Sarah Jessica Parker over and over and over.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite sex position?
Sleeping.
What if someone's trying to buy us drinks at the bar, and what are we drinking?
We are going to have, if it's a mixed drink, we're having a gin and tonic. And if it is shots, we're having bottom shelf whiskey. Not because I don't want to pay for it, but because if I get the good stuff, then I'm going to know what the good stuff is, and then I'm not going to be able to go back to the bad stuff.
Good answer. Toilet paper, over or under?
Over.
Yeah.
Over. What kind of madness is under?
We've had one person on the show say...
If it was
under.
Chelsea, I'm going to find her right now.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Okay.
She's just a do it in the back.
I love you, Chelsea, but there's some things that are
Had to do with the
unforgettable.
boobs, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. She can't spin.
Okay.
Not toilet paper. She can spin that just fine. Let's see. Do you cook or bake?
I air fry.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you've got one, they are amazing, and I've been eating like way more vegetables than I used to because I'm lazy and I could just cook that stuff, but I don't want to. I want to air fry it.
That's a good tip if you want to eat your vegetables, which can help with being depressed. A balanced diet.
Absolutely.
Look at us tying it back.
look at two people who are like in the throes of depression. Like, this is how you cure it.
Yeah. With air fried vegetables and weed. Who is your favorite drag queen?
Oh, I have so many. I will, to keep it not a debate about local girls.
Sure.
My favorite drag queens in general are Miss Coco Peru, Miss Jackie Beat. They inspired my drag so much. Like, I just love the idea of like I just love a bitch that can get on a microphone and immediately is just like, I'm not getting off this until all y'all motherfuckers are laughing, and then I'm taking money out of all your wallets and I'm peacing out. And people love it. Or if you got Coco, who literally just sits there, like, especially these days with her tea, and she's just like, this bothers me. And that's it. That's all she's got to say. And you're like, yes, queen, this bothers me too. Like, they're fun. They're funny. They're kooky. And they don't care about, like, being, like, impressing you, I guess. Or rather, they do, but it's not in... They want to come across as relatable. They want to come across as funny. They don't give a fuck if you're looking at them thinking, like, wow, I could bang that, you know?
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good reason. Who's your favorite drag king?
Oh, I'm going to go on the record and say, with celebrity drag kings, I'm going to say Landon Cider, who won
Okay.
Dracula.
All right.
Yeah.
And finally, what are you most excited for when you go out in the world again?
I'm really excited to... God, I'm such an alcoholic. I'm excited to drink, but I'm excited to drink at the bars again. Because like like most of us, in addition to the demon weed, I've also been drinking a little more than I used to, and I know I should probably keep tabs on that, and I will once the world opens again. But I miss being able to go to the bar, see my friends, grab a drink with them, and just kick it.
Socialize.
Absolutely, and like socializing's fun sober. Don't get me wrong, but like I guess I don't mean drink with my friends. I just want to be at the bar with my friends. Like I want to be the drag queen. I want to be doing drag in the way I'm used to it, not just in front of an Instagram camera, just like, what's up? Please tip me. Like, let me just be among the people.
Do a gig, feel pretty, come down from the green room, and mingle.
Yeah. Or if it's just one of those nights, quickly have like a Hannah Montana moment, take it all off, and just go out the back.
Oh, incognito.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, I don't know how often you get it, but whenever a drunk, sloppy dude is, like, hitting on me, and I feel like you get it a lot because I always end up friending people that you friend, and then end up being really weird.
Don't friend my friends.
Don't
people.
friend her friends on Facebook.
If
they're either
one friend in common
Trumpers,
and it's me, don't do it.
or they're sending a dick pic. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Dick pic for you.
Dick pic for you? My favorite thing to do is just be like, I'm just going to go upstairs real quick and I'll be right back down, okay? And then I run upstairs and I just take everything off, put my bags away, and then literally I'll just put on a hoodie, throw it up, walk right past them, and it's just like they have no idea. It's my favorite thing.
As long as you keep the tattoo hidden.
Oh, yeah. God damn it. Well, that's usually why I wear long sleeves as a boy coming to the club, so.
It's a little bit like being a Marvel superhero where people don't know your secret identity.
Yeah, but can you imagine being so stupid as, like, not a Marvel superhero, because I will admit a lot of Marvel superheroes are smarter than DC superheroes.
Thank you.
You gonna tell me that you can do everything hella fast and you're gonna just have your costume under your work clothes the entire day?
We're talking about Superman?
Superman, what kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
bullshit is that? Like, with the cape too. I don't know where he's hiding the cape, but like he's got a 3-piece suit on, which is already really warm. Metropolis looks like it rarely ever rains. Looks like the weather's great. So he's already in layers? What kind of bullshit is that?
This is a podcast waiting to happen where we just talk about superheroes from DC and Marvel because we have opinions on these things.
Do you want to hear us talk about weird, nerdy shit for about an hour every week? Call in now.
Just a podcast. Okay. Apple Adams, thank you so much. That was my interview.
Oh, that's wonderful. It was a pleasure to be here.
Would you like to hang around for the last bit of the show where we bring on David Shapiro?
You know what? I sure would love to do that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Jesse, do we have time still? All right.
We
love
got all the
Jesse.
time in the world.
I just want to say I already said that I love Pocket and Taryn and Yaya and you and Rosie and everyone that helps me be who I am, and I'm not naming everybody, and so please don't hate me if I didn't name you. But also Jesse, I couldn't do the show without Jesse.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And
Thank
I
you,
love
Jesse.
Stab, and it's a great place to do an open mic
Hey.
and comedy. You've done comedy here.
I have. It was actually really fun, and it was a really chill vibe. This is a cool theater.
It's a really cool, yeah. So if you're out there when things go back to normal, check out Stab.
Get stabbed.
We're gonna bring on David Shapiro. He's an actor, comic. You know him. Whatever he's doing today.
I'm
David,
familiar
can you
with
hear
his
me?
work.
David.
Yep.
Hey,
Oh,
Hey.
how are you?
Yes, you have
Yeah.
my favorite drag
Yeah,
queen.
I have. Yeah, me.
No.
oh me.
Apple.
Hi.
Apple is.
Hey, David.
Sorry.
How are you?
Oh,
I mean, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
okay. So what are we covering for your segment today, David?
So for today's segment, I thought, and sorry, I don't know if you can hear my washing machine on. It's loud, and this is when in the show you got to me. But I thought for today's segment, we could just keep talking about mental health. Just keep that going.
Okay, well, I don't want you to step on Apple's toes.
Right.
No, by all means. Like, seriously, if you
Well, I
want to talk
figured we
about
could
it,
make it like a
please.
theme. Like, just keep the theme going.
Yeah.
Sure.
Suicide, actually.
Oh, okay. That's a heavy topic. Do you want to...
Well, that's my point. It shouldn't be such a heavy topic.
Oh, that's what you were saying.
I know. Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that because you're right. I think,
Right. Some people don't want to talk about it, but
Right.
that doesn't mean that other people aren't feeling suicidal. If I'm feeling suicidal and you, Suzette, don't want to talk about it, and you make me feel bad for wanting to talk about it,
Sorry.
that doesn't make me feel differently about it positively. You know?
Okay. Well,
I'm not saying you have to talk about it. I'm just saying don't shame me for feeling that way.
I like that.
Okay. Well, why not the suicide hotline?
You don't have to be. You know, that's the thing. You don't have to be comfortable talking about it. And you can just say, hey, David, I'm not really comfortable talking about this with you. I'd rather not discuss it. I hope that you can find somebody who will discuss it, but I don't feel comfortable talking about it.
Kind of what you said. So you must have been copying off of Apple. So, like,
Yeah.
why not just
Well,
call
a lot
the
of
suicide
people
hotline?
ask, why don't you just call the suicide hotline?
Yeah.
That is a great example of something not to ask me specifically to do, or to tell me specifically to do, rather.
Why?
Well, it's in the way that they ask, and that you just did. You know, like, why can't you just call the suicide hotline?
Mm-hmm.
That implies that calling them is going to magically fix all of my problems.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure, some people do get helped, but I think it's important to realize that this is mental health, and it's not an exact science, and it's not even, you know, physical healthcare. So what works for some people might not work for other people. You know, a broken arm is a broken arm, and you reset it. But depression and suicidality are different in every person. And Apple mentioned that, you know, she gets help by talking to someone, and I think that's awesome, and I think that's great, and I think people should be willing to, like Apple, be willing to find somebody that you'll talk to about this. You know, don't be scared. Go out and find a provider that you can talk to. But me personally, and there are other people like me that are treatment resistant. You know, I've tried over 10 years of talk therapy with all the different methods, and I've tried, you know, 8 different medications, and I think it's important to note that a lot of these, sometimes there's a cost to these things that you never get back, and you just keep trying them, and there's no benefit, and you try all the medications and you get side effects, and there's a cost to those, financial and physical toll, and it's just not fair to say to one person, this worked for so and so, why won't it work for you?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else about that? I mean, have people said that to you? Like, it worked for them, why can't it work for you?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's hard because I think the one thing that we all get tired of hearing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Right.
Oh. Okay, David.
No, all of this.
Yeah. Word.
You didn't really let her finish, but okay.
Well, you know what? It's fine. I'm long-winded anyway. It's fine.
So don't compare.
I just
and
think it's
contrast.
important to, and sorry about the washing machine. I think it's important to
Can't hear it.
just be happy for the person who got help, and not to shame the person who seemingly can't get help.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, yeah. So then we won't shame you. So maybe talking to someone doesn't work for you. I guess. What does work for you? And when you do feel suicidal, have you tried calling the suicide hotline? Like, is that something that you've done? I mean, because I'm not telling you should. I'm asking.
That's
you,
a
like,
better way to ask. Yeah, no, a better way to ask the question to me would be, you know, David, have you tried calling the suicide hotline?
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
have you
that's
tried?
better. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, have you tried?
No, I hate the suicide hotline. I think it's garbage.
Oh, okay. Strong feelings. That's not fair because those people volunteer.
Right.
And yeah. And maybe
Yeah.
like they lost someone to suicide.
That's a good point. And I think that those people are volunteering their time and they're trying their best, and maybe in a moment for like people experiencing momentary crisis or maybe you know, for some people I think it's helpful, but it never helps me. It makes me feel worse because they're not equipped to deal with the depression like I've had for 32 years, you know. So, well, depression for like 20 something, but suicidal for 32 years, and they're just not equipped to deal with that. You know, the same way like my grandmother died of cancer, but I can't volunteer. I can't just go to the hospital now and volunteer to be an oncologist.
Okay.
Word to that.
Yeah. So then if someone's feeling suicidal or depressed and they need relief from that, what can they do?
If you want to help someone like me, if I remind you of someone in your life, I guess,
Nobody does.
or if you are someone like me, there are simple things you can do, like taking a nap, going to sleep, or trying to eat something. Those are really good things to try to help you feel better. And all, none of these are easy to do. And the next one isn't either, but sometimes I go for a run if I'm feeling down. Exercise can help a lot. And sometimes it's hard to put on my running shoes and go for a run. Other times it's easier, but it's good. It's a distraction. And another good distraction is just talking to friends, people that care about me, people that I care about, just distracting myself by spending time with friends.
Oh, does that make the
No,
feelings go
nothing
away?
makes the feelings go away, unfortunately. They're always going to be there. And I think if the goal is to live for one more minute or one more day, spending time with people and distracting yourself, even if it's for, minute, an hour, a day, if the goal is to live, then that's useful to spend time with people. Sorry about the washing machine that you
Still,
can clearly
I can't hear it. But so, are you really distracted if you're hanging out with people? Like, does that make the thoughts go away, or are you talking
it
about
depends on who you're spending time with, because some people you're going to want to talk about this to, and some people won't. Like when I hang out with you, Suzette, we're talking about, jokes and your shows, and who's funnier between you and me, or whose pug is cuter. We don't talk about feelings, but you just don't get it the same way. Like if I were to talk to Apple gets me on that depressed person to depressed person level.
Mm-hmm.
So she can kind of understand that. I think it's important to for the depressed person to also realize, and I'm guilty of this, don't put everything on your friend that's listening. Be grateful for what they will tolerate and be able to help you with, because you don't want to put your entire emotional load on that person. It's heavy, and if someone will talk about it with you, try to make sure you're not overwhelming them and fatiguing them with your feelings.
Right.
Yeah,
And
your
I
friends
think
aren't
that's
your
absolutely
therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that we all need to remember, is that we want to help our friends, but we may not always be in the best place to do so. And it's okay to say, I'm your friend, I can't help you, but let me maybe recommend somewhere else you could go,
or like, this is my limit personally, but I want you to get help.
No, I
I'm
wish
sorry,
I wish
can't do
this
more.
would make the feelings go away. I wish anything could make the feelings go away. I really do, but I can't shake them. They always are sneaking back in.
Okay, so what do you suggest to someone maybe struggling
Well,
with
something I
suicidal
would
thoughts?
suggest for everybody with regard to suicide and even depression is understanding and communication. These things are really hard to talk about, and they're difficult for some people especially. but they're real issues that people face, and the more openly we can talk about them with each other or with people that can help us, the better we're all going to be. And if you're feeling these feelings and you need to talk about them, then find a friend or a provider or a stranger. Just find somebody to talk to. And don't be discouraged. If the first person won't talk to you about it, find a second person. If you need to talk about it, find somebody who will talk about it with you. And eventually, hopefully, this won't be such a stigmatized thing, and we'll be able to talk openly about it and be able to help each other.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's a great point, because I feel like when you're trying to reach out as a person, it's hard to hear, I don't want to hear about your problems. But that's part of it. Like, not everyone's equipped to deal with that. That's got to be okay. Your friends still love you even if they can't handle it, you know? They can't hang with it.
Yeah, thank you, Suzette, for having me on and letting me talk about this a little bit. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And
yeah,
you just kind of copied off Apple.
Thank you for letting me come on, and also thank you for letting me come on with my favorite drag queen.
Oh my god.
Well, I just want to know why I'm not.
Well, she's talented.
There's that.
was a little
No,
low.
she's just talented. And
Oh, so
prettier.
pretty.
Oh yeah, and funnier.
Oh.
And can do an 8.
Oh no, we lost David. His feed went out.
Oh, wow.
Too bad.
Which is so crazy. His feed was so on top of it before.
It was.
Wow. Like, before we even asked the questions, that is some freaking connection.
You know, we have good chemistry.
Yeah,
so.
are you guys related?
No.
Wow.
No, please. No.
Interesting.
Anyhow, that was the show. It was so nice to have a co-host / guest the whole time.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out.
It was my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
I hope everyone at home enjoyed it. And I think the takeaway from the show today is talk with people. Be open, whether it's about politics or your feelings or about what's happening in the world or mental health. Open communication is really what's going to make things better. So if I'm doing a Mr. Rogers type thing and you're learning a lesson at the end of the episode, that's the lesson, I think, from today. Anything else, Apple?
Yeah, you know, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of great resources in Sacramento that you can look into, and it's important to me that I stress that therapy is affordable for everybody. When I years ago I thought it wasn't, but I can now. You did that.
I did that.
No, but there are a lot of places that are willing to work with you on a sliding scale. You shouldn't have to deprive yourself of mental wellness because you feel like you can't afford it. There are a bunch of places in Sacramento that can help you out. And you know what? Even after the show, I'd be happy to post some information on Facebook about some local areas that would be willing to help you out.
That'd be really great. Thank you for doing that.
Totally.
You can join us next week on the 21st. My guest will be Miles Weber. And hopefully, Apple, if you'll ever want to come back, you're more than welcome to come back whenever.
Absolutely. I love dressing pretty and having people look at me, so.
All right. Well, thank you again to Stab and all my contributors and Apple Adams. And that was the Suzette Veneti Show. So have a good week. Be safe. Be open and communicate.
Hell yeah.
You were a problem child, been grounded your whole life, so now you run wild. Playing with them good girls, so that ain't just down.
So we just kind of dance.
Make your heart shit.
Talk over it.
I love
It's a
it.
fun time.
I actually really enjoyed it.
I'm really glad you did. If somebody is like, yeah, please do a podcast about comic book, I'm there. I'm even dressed up.
Because your house is Marvel,
You can see it, right? But we know about the other ones. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of any. Spider-Man wears a comic book. Depending on. Sometimes, not always.
yeah, he usually carries it in his backpack.
Usually carries it in his backpack, yeah.
He's smarter. Frickin' Superman is smart. He puts it in his frickin' briefcase.
Depends on the material too, because like I know Shield's making a good like material that is breathable for whoever to wear under. You know?
By the way, did Shield? No, Shield didn't make a shield. Captain America's.
Oh, Howard Stark did.
Howard Stark did, and that was before like Shield were anything.
No, technically, so it was just on Agents of Shield. So Shield actually started after the war with the SSR. It was a scientific reserve, and that was like the precursor to the Shield. And Howard Stark, Peggy Carter, and a couple other big names were part of that.
Yeah.
And they made, so that's where the Shield came from.
Oh.
Well, I mean, yes. So the Shield was before the war.
So
Like,
Shield
during
was
the-
okay.
So the Shield was made before the SSR, but the SSR was like right there, same time.
So his physical shield was made before the war. Shield as an organization was created after the war.
Got its name after the war, but the SSR was already kind of existing
Okay.
as far back as